The power of ancient inheritance. The power of ancient inheritance. Descendant of God's tribe. The inheritance of the God's tribe's blood vein. These rewards. That would also allow a person to be reborn and become someone who could truly become a God's tribe. This was the dream of the subordinate sects of Universal Realm. Only those who had become God's tribe were truly worthy of being called such a person. Only then would he be able to stand above others. Only a god. Otherwise, he would be an ant for the rest of his life, and would be easily trampled to death. What the Grand Elder said made them feel as if chicken blood had been poured into their bodies. That kind of feeling. His entire body was boiling. His blood was boiling. All of them were staring coldly at Murongxiong and the rest, revealing cold sneers as they slowly walked forward. Who are they? He was the leader of the various great sects in Universal Realm, the Great Clan Elder. It could be said that they were the peak powerhouses of the Universal Realm. There were a few hundred of them, as well as dozens of Sovereign Realm-s. They were the outer disciples of the God's tribe. However, their identities could only be at the periphery, because they did not have God's tribe blood vein-s, nor did they have the power of ancient inheritance. As long as they obtained these, they were truly people of God's tribe. They understood the importance of this opportunity. The head elder said lightly, "Let's kill to our heart's content." As soon as he finished, one powerhouse after another surrounded Murongxiong and the others. Murongxiong, you better kneel on the ground and accept your death. Only then can you die a little more comfortably. Murongxiong, you won't be able to escape today. All of you must die. Heh. Murongxiong's side only had a dozen or so people, and they were going to face the peak powerhouse of this world. The disparity in strength. Murongxiong did not mind. His lips curled up slightly as he said, "Why do I feel like it's easy to bully me? Am I, Murongxiong, a soft persimmon? You can pinch me however you want." An elder asked, "Do you think you can win?" Murongxiong, "I, Murongxiong, have never lost. You will definitely lose today." It was also at this time. Xiao Bai held back his tears, placed the ice and fire to the side and immediately roared out, "Fuck your ancestors." Roar. The wolf's roar rumbled like thunder. The meridians on his body bulged, the sky was pitch black, and the wolf god's lances rained down. Hualala. Hualala. One of the powerhouse's eyes turned cold, his aura fluctuating. Boundless saint. Buzz. An extremely strong energy aura shot out from his body and covered the entire sky. The wolf god's lances were all blocked. The strength of a Jizuan realm cultivator was incomparably sharp. Xiao Bai's strength was not strong enough. Seeing this situation, Xiao Bai gave up on using the wolf god's spear. Instead, he rushed forward. An animal dares to be so arrogant in front of me? Die. A man who looked like a Daoist priest had a glimmer in his eyes. He moved his body and the sword on his waist disappeared. The aura of a martial saint instantly formed an intimidating aura. Kneel on the ground. Rumble. With an explosive sound, Xiao Bai's body sank. A powerful pressure instantly gushed into his mind. His cultivation base had yet to reach the martial saint realm, so he was simply unable to withstand the pressure. His speed suddenly slowed down. His strength was instantly crushed as well. His body felt heavy and he trembled non-stop. His knees were about to drop to the ground. Xiao Bai gritted his teeth so hard that they creaked as he desperately tried to defend himself. The Daoist powerhouse sneered, "You think a trash like you can resist? Just go to hell." Shua. The sword that had disappeared suddenly appeared, directly floating above Xiao Bai's head. As long as it passed through, Xiao Bai would definitely die. Xiao Bai felt the power behind his head and wanted to dodge, but his body was being pressed down, his speed was too slow, he could not dodge at all. Ha ha ha. Die. The Daoist priest powerhouse was excited. However, in an instant, the long sword suddenly disappeared for no apparent reason. The eyes of the Daoist priest powerhouse tightened. All the surrounding swords trembled, letting out buzzing sounds. Sword chime? What a strong sword intent. This. His eyes exploded and a sword appeared in his eyes. It was the sword that had just disappeared, and it was also the sword that suddenly flew out and stabbed towards the center of his brows. Crack. The sword pierced through. The powerhouse fell to the ground, his eyes bulging and his sword nailing him to the ground. It was also at this time. Elder Swordsman moved slightly, and the sword intent that exuded from his body became incredibly strong. He slowly walked out and muttered, "Bullying my disciple, who gave you the guts? What a strong sword intent. Look at his body. God's tribe curse mark. He's a wanted man." The God's tribe S and curse mark S on Elder Swordsman's body shone with a fluorescent light, as if they were all slave imprints. Their entire bodies and even their faces were the same. It was very dazzling. However, at this moment, he no longer cared about anything else. He knew that if he didn't fight today, then he wouldn't have another chance in the future. Such a strong sword intent. Could he be the sect master Li Xiaoyao who was killed by the God's tribe for 3 days and 3 nights and was piled up into a mountain of bones? The king of immortal swords? Is he the one who stole the God's tribe's ancient inheritance, the inheritance of the ancient sword spiritual power's power? It must be him. I didn't expect that after so many years, he was still alive. He exposed himself. Senior Mie let out a long breath and said, "Old Li, your hot blood isn't cold yet." The elder swordsman said indifferently, his eyes looking towards the sky, "Without revenge, how can blood be cold? Back then, the God's tribe killed my wife and children, annihilated my sect, implicated my Li family's 9 generations, and killed tens of thousands of my Li family's people. This enmity. I never forget a second. Today. This old man will bet everything. He didn't even want his life. Even if they lost in the end and died in battle, there would be no regrets." Senior Mie laughed excitedly. "How can blood be cold before taking revenge? Good. Let's have a good fight today." Boom. Senior Mie's robes suddenly ripped apart, revealing a body full of scars, strong as a bear's body. At the entrance of shrine, the group of elders from the God's tribe watched everything that was happening on the summit of the mountain of heaven with ice-cold expressions. An elder asked, "Grand Elder, do you really want to give them rewards?" "Reward? Ha ha ha. How could lowly beings like them be worthy of the God's tribe's blood vein? I'm just telling them it's a game. Why else would these dogs work for us? Ha ha ha." All of the elders began to laugh. The great clan elder looked at a certain direction and said, "All that should come have come. Now, only that brat Long Fei remains. It seems that he won't come. If that's the case, then let's kill all these trash first." Below God's tribe are ants. Below God's tribe are ants. In their eyes, they were gods. Other than their God's tribes, they were mere commoners with lives like grass, so it didn't matter how many of them died. The Grand Elder's reward was just to make them work harder. Even if they managed to kill all of Murong Xiong's subordinates, they would not be able to obtain the God's tribe's blood vein legacy. However, yet, the words of the Great Elder made everyone feel as if they were on stimulants. They believed it, and this was only an opportunity to change their fates. Thus, the instant the Great Elder's words fell, the sect powerhouse S rushed towards Murong Xiong and the others without a care for anything else. Kill them. Let's attack together. The mighty God's tribe. They all rushed towards Murong Xiong and the others. All sorts of powerful techniques and destructive powers were unleashed. They were simply putting their lives on the line. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The head elder smiled faintly as he looked at what was happening at the summit of the mountain. He said, "Don't you guys think that this is a fight between a group of dogs?" Ha ha ha. The elders behind him also laughed. A group of dogs fighting. This was the status of these people in the eyes of the God's tribe. It's just a dog. Murong Xiong's magic space spell continued to be released. Elder Swordsman's ancient sword spiritual power crazily crushed everything. The power of the senior Mie was also unleashed to the maximum. There were several dozen people fighting against several hundred people, but they didn't seem to be at a disadvantage at all. Instead, they seemed to be on the verge of being crushed. The sect powerhouses on the summit of the sky retreated bit by bit. Overlord realm powerhouses were like cannon fodder in this place, and were basically useless. Rumble. Rumble. Spatial slash. Murong Xiong's hands moved, forming a cross as he struck out. Space split apart. A sovereign realm powerhouse was directly dragged into the air and issued a series of screams. Murong Xiong said with a heavy voice, "Those who block me, die. All of you, scram to the side. You stupid fools, are you really giving your god's tribe the inheritance? Will I really give you the power of the ancient inheritance? Think about it. Is it possible to do such a thing?" Murong Xiong understood God's tribe very well. A race that regarded themselves as gods, the others were all ants. Would they keep their promise to ants? Impossible. However, these people could not listen to what Murong Xiong had to say. Even if they were to be forced to retreat step by step, they would still crazily charge forward. Bing Hua looked up at the sky and said, "City Lord Mu, there's no time. They're about to pull the dragon tendon out." Indeed. The dragon's skin split open, and dragon scales flew in all directions as it crazily floated down. If the dragon skin was peeled off, it would become a dragon reeling tendon. If the dragon tendon was once again extracted, then the 13th dragon ancestor really would not have the slightest chance of surviving. Murong Xiong looked at the sky and his pupils tightened. "Damn, you are giving me a hard time, I'm going all out." Elder Swordsman said, "You think of a way to go to the main entrance of shrine. Leave this place to me." All right. Murong Xiong did not care so much. With the magic space spell, he could freely travel through space. "Murong Xiong, you can't escape." An old man stabbed his three-pronged sword into the air, and at the same time, the sword flew out of Elder Swordsman's hands. Bam! He was blocking the trident sword. Elder Swordsman said coldly, "I am in charge of this place. Sword, come." He clasped his hands together and quickly formed a seal. The power of the ancient inheritance on his body surged out crazily, layer after layer, forming an extremely strong sword intent. At this moment, the god's tribe curse mark on his body was extremely dazzling. His entire body was covered in imprints. Kill. Elder Swordsman's robes started to flutter and his sword intent fell. In that instant, catcher, catcher, catcher. The sky above the peak of the mountain seemed to be unceasingly cracking as streams of powerful energy rumbled into the minds of those people. An immortal sword suddenly flew out of their minds. Many people's pupils constricted. Sword of intent. Run. A loud sound was heard. The few sovereign realm powerhouses reacted and quickly escaped. Elder Swordsman said solemnly, "It's too late. Die." Bang, 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 bang. Everyone's heart exploded as they all fell to the ground with their hearts broken. Blood gushed out of their mouths. This move was almost impossible to defend against. Only those innate realm powerhouse who reacted slightly faster managed to survive. However, when they stood up, Tan Dapao, Tang Long, Sword Edge, Senior Mie, and the others all walked over and struck their heads heavily on their head. Boom, boom, boom. All of them were killed, falling into pools of blood. The peak of the mountain grew quiet as well. Although these clan-leveled powerhouse were only in the sovereign realm, in front of the power of the ancient inheritance, their cultivation was simply too weak. Elder Swordsman retracted his aura, looked towards the sky, and said, "Now it's all up to City Lord Mu." The senior Mie said, "The Mu clan are also the ancient family S. They control spatial legacies, and if used correctly, they can bring one plane of existence into another world. This is also the legendary power. Once, the first patriarch of the Mu clan did it. Murong Xiong's magic space spell is not weak either. I hope that he can break through the taboo in the God's Tribe's array formation and bring the 13th dragon ancestor down here. This God's Tribe is so King ruthless, bleeding, skinning, and cramping. I'm worried about one thing right now." Elder Swordsman asked, "What is it?" Senior Mie said, "I am worried that Long Fei is really rushing over here. If he sees this scene, I'm afraid he would go crazy." Elder Swordsman said, "Don't mention him, even I would be driven mad by this scene, much less him. I only hope that City Lord Mu can do it now, and bring the 13th dragon ancestor away as long as it is possible." They had defeated these powerhouses just now. However, all of them knew clearly in their hearts that these powerhouse were not even scum when compared to the powerhouse of God's Tribe. If they wanted to face the God's Tribe head-on, they would have no chance at all. Moreover, there were many ancient strong in the gods' tribe, and any one of these people could easily crush them. Buzz. Suddenly, a sound was heard. Everyone tensed up. Look. It's City Lord Mu. Indeed. Murong Xiong appeared at the side of the dragon ancestor's tail. Ah! Murong Xiong roared out, and a large expanse of black void appeared behind him, as he released his strongest spatial energy. See this power. The Great Elder smiled coldly. You want to show off your small amount of spatial energy in front of us? You overestimate yourself. Then, the Great Elder's gaze looked towards a certain direction. A figure landed. With a flip of his right palm, it covered the entire sky. A heavy blow came down. Rumble. Without waiting for Murong Xiong's dragon ancestor to enter the air, he smashed him down right into the ground with a palm. Boom. Boom. It descended vertically and landed directly on top of a mountain. The entire mountain exploded. The entire sky mountain range shook violently. Rumble, rumble, rumble. There was a constant echo. City Lord Mu. Mayor. With a loud sound, the senior Mie moved and took the lead to fly out. However, without waiting for him to get close to Murong Xiong's landing point, the sky darkened once again. Tang Long's eyes darkened, demonic flame. Ah! The destructive demonic energy within his body surged and heavily rolled out, directly entering a berserk state. It directly soared into the sky with a heavy sword in hand. Cut. Tang Long was a descendant of the Demon Destroyer clan. He had a natural ability to sense demons. He immediately sensed the appearance of the demonic palm, and he also instantly unleashed it in a berserk manner. But, bam! Rumble. A palm fell and Tang Long was sent flying. He didn't even have a chance to resist. It was a complete and utter crushing. Devil Slayer Tang Clan? Humph. He can't even withstand a single blow. A cold and contemptuous voice sounded out in the sky, then, with a sweep of his right hand, an enormous palm print appeared in front of Senior Mie. Senior Mie's pupils contracted as he gritted his teeth and said, "Ah!" Boom. With an explosive sound, the huge palm grabbed Senior Mie and raised him up into the air before slamming him down heavily onto the ground. Rumble. The ground caved in as another mountain peak exploded, causing the entire mountain to split open. 3 palm strikes, 3 completely crush. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. In the sky, a tall and sturdy old man clad in devil armor coldly looked down on everything. His eyes were filled with ridicule as he sneered, "A bunch of trash of the ancient world." Moreover, it was the demon that had been roused by the seal. Cluck, 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 cluck. Xiao Bai, Tan De Pao gritted his teeth as they resounded in the air. Looking at the ancient strong in the sky, their hearts were filled with anger and unwillingness. Ancient Strong looked at them coldly, and said, "Are you unhappy? You want revenge? All of you can attack together." Completely contemptuous. The Great Elder laughed and said, "Did you hear that? Let all of you come at once. Don't you have the power of the ancient inheritance, Li Xiaoyaro of the Fairy Sword Sect? Come on, ha ha ha. Just you group of trash want to fight my god's tribe? Why don't you take a piss? Take into account your morals. Ha ha ha." The Great Elder mocked crazily. The people of God's tribe all laughed. They did not need to move at all. As long as the ancient world S were there to watch, they would be here to watch the show. Seeing that Elder Swordsman and the others did not move, Presbyter of God's tribe was even more happy. Come on. Aren't you here to save the dragon ancestor? Come on. I already told you all to come at me together, you bunch of trash. Ha ha ha. He was incomparably proud and arrogant. No one could contain their anger. Xiao Bai charged forward, but was instantly held back by the Elder Swordsman. "Don't go." Xiao Bai said, "I can't tolerate it." Elder Swordsman said, "If you can't endure it, you have to. Going up there is just suicide." Tan De Pao also could not tolerate it anymore and said, "Elder Swordsman, then let's just watch on like this." Looking at the dragon ancestor pulling out the dragon tendon, seeing the city lord and the rest slowly dying, "We have to do something. If we don't do anything, how can we follow our boss? At most, I'll just die." They all wanted to throw caution to the wind. It was not bad to leave the sect in peace, and it was not too late for a gentleman to take revenge 10 years later. However, he still had to endure it. Now they couldn't stand it any longer. The Queen of Blood Moon said, even if we did not act, he would have also attacked us. Elder Swordsman frowned, and said, you girls retreat first, we block. Block it. Ha ha ha. The Great Elder laughed. How are you going to block this? Lord Zhongmo, since they are not here, then I will have to trouble you to send them to hell. The Great Elder smiled. In mid-air, the ancient strong moved, his right hand flipped. Buzz. A wave of energy exploded outwards, spreading over 10,000 kilometers. Wherever the force went, it turned into a huge palm print that covered the sky and blocked out the sun. The entire summit of the mountain was covered by the huge palm. Looking up, it was as if the sky had turned completely black. Tan de Pao muttered, this time. We can't get there. That's for the best. Damn it, Tan de Pao's eyes shone with a bright light. He was not afraid in the slightest. The gun on his right arm suddenly turned, and his entire right arm became a huge, heavy cannon. It rumbled towards the sky. A cannonball the size of a water bucket could instantly blast a mountain flat, but the cannons shot out again and again, with no reaction at all. It was as if $1 of coins had been thrown into the water, not even a single wave could be seen. Even so, Tan de Pao did not stop either. Everyone was attacking. But their attacks were so pale and powerless. Facing the powerhouse, their power seemed weak. The great clan elder looked at everything and laughed complacently. Let's see who dares to challenge my god's tribe in the future. Let's see who dares to go against my god's tribe. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. All of you, go to hell. The palm landed. Boom. The power behind the explosion caused the huge summit of the mountain to crumble. The 100,000 mountains were crushed into a flat piece of land. It was as if the summit of the mountain was a nail that was smashed into the ground. How powerful was this power? How valiant was he? After finishing the palm strike, Zhongmo didn't seem to enjoy enough, as he heavily smacked down once again. Rumble. This time, a deep 5-finger mark appeared on the ground. The stone turned to powder. The tremor quickly spread out from deep within the Earth's core. The entire Sky Mountain range shook violently. When the Great Elder saw such a terrifying scene, he laughed, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Many of the presbyter of God's tribes had prideful smiles on their faces. At the same time, their hearts quivered because Ancient Strong was too terrifying. The peak powerhouse of Universal Realm was sent flying with a slap. With just a few slaps, the entire army was completely annihilated. The Great Elder smiled. It should be quiet now. No one dares to play around in front of us anymore, right? Ha ha ha. It was also at this time. An elder said lightly, Great Elder, there's also the one with the 9 heavens. The Great Elder's face darkened as the corners of his eyes twitched. I forgot about him. How is he now? The elder's eyes turned cold. The Great Elder said, speak. The elder replied weakly, reporting to Great Elder, that kid has already stepped into the 2nd heaven, and 2nd sky. The Great Elder looked even more displeased. And what? The elder said, moreover, all of the laws of annihilation from the 1st layered heavens have been absorbed by him. Each of the 9 heavens beneath the guillotine had a type of law energy. Each of the 9 heavens beneath the guillotine had a type of law energy. The first level was the power of the annihilation laws. Anything that enters is destroyed. However, not only did he not die, he even absorbed the law of annihilation's power. The Great Elder's eyes darkened. What did you say? The elder said, the law of annihilation within the 1st layer has been absorbed by him. The law of fire within the 2nd layer is also continuously being drained away. He didn't come here to challenge the 9 heavens when he placed the 9 heavens in a cultivation area. He came here to absorb the power within the 9 heavens. What should we do? He had seen madmen before, but never madmen like them. Running into the 9-layered heavens to train? The Great Elder said, have you still not found his identity? The many elders shook their heads, and said, he seemed to have appeared out of thin air, he did not have any identity, and no one recognized him. I just checked, Murong Xiong and the others did not recognize him either. He never appeared. Those who knew of his identity were basically all dead. The Great Elder said solemnly, I want to see just how many times you can endure. Even if you absorbed all of the 9 heavens, but… Hee. The Great Elder laughed sinisterly. Do you know why it is called the 9 heavens below the guillotine? Even if you were to break through to the 9th heaven, you won't be able to survive. The 9 layered heavens are the 9 layered heavens and the guillotine are the guillotine. The guillotines were above the 9th heaven. The land of the Godslayer realm. Just as the Great Clan Elder wanted the guillotine, a voice came from a nearby Zhongmo. Those people from earlier do not seem to be dead. As soon as he finished, the Great Elder was stunned. All the elders were also stunned. That kind of attack didn't kill him? Impossible. The Great Clan Elder asked curiously, Lord Zhongmo, is there something wrong? You are so powerful, how can they still be alive? The 2 attacks had completely wiped out the entire mountain, and Lu Li wasn't dead yet? Impossible. Zhongmo said, if I say they didn't die, then they didn't die. He didn't want to explain at all. The Grand Elder didn't dare to reprimand him, and he could only smile apologetically. Zhongmo said, but… You don't have to worry, they really aren't dead yet, but they won't last long, and they don't have the slightest bit of combat power. If you want them to die faster, then send people to kill them. There's more. Don't bother me with trash like that in the future, understand? I am not your dogshit little brother of the God's tribe, not someone you can order around. Even if the Emperor Xian is in front of me, he wouldn't dare to be too presumptuous. Zhongmo spoke in a deep voice. The Great Elder was so frightened that he did not even dare make a sound. Looking at the Zhongmo flying towards the shrine, the Great Clan Elder heaved a sigh of relief and said, immediately send people down there. If you want to cut the grass, you have to get rid of the roots. These people will all die. Yes, sir. Several elders flew down with their disciples. Huff. Huff. Drink it. In the 9 Heavens sect, Long Fei was floating in the air with his legs crossed and the purple-colored Do Chi surrounding his body as he frantically absorbed the power of the fire laws. Buzz. Suddenly, the second sky shattered. A flame appeared on Long Fei's palm, and he said, Second heavenly layer, break. The moment he finished speaking, with a single step, he ascended to the 3rd heaven. It was also at this time. The 9 heavens shook violently. Grand Elder, the 2nd sky has shattered. That boy has already entered the 3rd heaven, the laws of the wind. The Great Elder shouted, I understand. He's only broken through the 2nd layer. There are still the 7th layer after this. Even if he were to rush through all of them, what can he do? I still have to die. The Great Elder did not do it on purpose. No one would be able to pass the 9th level of the refinement realm. If he tried to break through, he would be beaten back to his original form by the guillotine. Because there was a Emperor Xian's taboo on guillotines. As long as they broke through the 9th heaven, they would trigger the taboo and be beaten back to their original state. There was no need to worry at all. However, his speed was a little fast, but the Great Elder was feeling a little unhappy in his heart. Suddenly, Zhongmo stopped. He turned around in an instant. An extremely strong power burst out from his body. The Great Elder and the others were also covered by this power. The Great Clan Elder tensed up and immediately resisted. He respectfully asked, Master Zhongmo, what's wrong? Zhongmo did not spare the Great Clan Elder another glance as he smiled excitedly. Finally, an expert has arrived. The Great Clan Elder swept his gaze around and did not find anyone. There was not a single person within a 10,000-kilometer radius, and some of them had even died from Zhongmo's 2 palms. Just now, Skymount City had already been reduced to rubble. Not a single person was alive. The Great Clan Elder muttered, Is there something wrong with this Zhongmo's head? Where is everyone? Yeah, I didn't see any of them. Who dares to come here now? Great Clan Elder, could it be that brat Long Fei? The Great Elder immediately laughed. Ha ha ha. If his brain was flooded by water, he might appear. If he really appeared, then he would absolutely be an idiot. Zhongmo did not return to the shrine. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. A hint of a smile appeared on his face. An excited smile. In the distance, Long Fei's body trembled non-stop. Just now, he felt that he was about to be scalded to death, and even his fiery eyes of truth had uncontrollably appeared. But now he felt like he was in the middle of a huge eye of the storm. The wind blades were like flying knives, constantly slashing at his body. It was completely unbearable. Holy **T. What happened to Laozi? Long Fei was speechless. Along the way, he felt as if he was going to die. Suddenly, he swam on the sickle of the god of death, then suddenly fell into the sea of fire. Now, there was a storm. He even wondered if the system was giving him a problem upgrading his body. System girl. Why are you still sleeping? Can you explain it to me? Long Fei wanted to wake her up from her slumber, but no matter what, he couldn't wake her up. The further he walked, the more powerful he became. Even though Long Fei's body didn't have any injuries, but that kind of feeling was as if he was experiencing something. Suddenly, the Wild King stopped. The young Taoist looked at him and asked, "Why aren't you moving?" It was also at this time. The space between young Taoist's eyebrows tightened. This aura. He felt it too. The Wild King became excited and said, "This is the most powerful aura I felt when I came to this world. Interesting, ha ha ha." He was a battle maniac and a madman. The stronger the opponent, the more excited he would be. It was also at this time. Young Taoist looked up to the sky and said, "Senior brother, what's hanging in the sky?" Long Fei looked over, and did not react for a moment, and said, "Who dares to hang such a huge snake in the sky? What are you doing?" Suddenly, Long Fei's pupils abruptly tightened. His memories of the seal had stopped, but the black dragon had once appeared. The moment he saw the black dragon, his pupils rapidly shrank into pinpricks and he clenched both his fists. 1, 2, 13 Dragon Patriarchs, F***ck me. The F***king God's tribe. 13 dragon patriarchs swayed in the wind. Their dragon bodies were like dried-up willow branches, lightly swaying in the air without any signs of life. 13 dragon patriarchs swayed in the wind. Their dragon bodies were like dried-up willow branches, lightly swaying in the air without any signs of life. The skin fell off and the blood dried up. 13 presbyter of God's tribe S were truly pumping dragon tendons, and they were also extremely happy. The scene was appalling. Long Fei's memories were affected by the seal, but when he saw this scene, his mind was immediately stimulated. At this moment, Long Fei's fury was rising crazily. F***ck. Long Fei said in a heavy voice. Young Taoist asked, "Senior brother, what's wrong?" Long Fei didn't say much as the feather god wings behind him moved. Boom. He immediately dashed out. Feather god wings could not only fly, but they could also attack faster. Young Taoist and Kwong Wang had never seen Long Fei's expression before, so they tensed up and didn't dare to stay any longer as they immediately followed. With a speed as fast as lightning, Long Fei attacked ferociously. Of the 13 dragon patriarchs, he only recognized the black dragon, but all of them were like his brothers. He could no longer suppress his anger. They ran like mad. Far away, in midair, the corner of Zhong Mo's mouth curled up as he said, "It's about to appear. Heh. This is the real powerhouse." Zhong Mo did not return to shrine, but waited quietly. Great Clan Elder still could not sense any dangerous auras, and did not understand what the Zhong Mo was waiting for. It was also at this time. A mental message was transmitted to the Grand Elder's mind. Grand Elder, as expected. None of them are dead. Just like what Lord Zhong Mo had said, although they are not dead yet, they are on the verge of death and do not have any fighting capabilities. Killing them now is easier than stepping on an ant. The Great Elder smiled and said, "Then, I will trample them all to death." He didn't want them to live. Since he wasn't dead, then he might as well die. Yes, sir. Within the mountain, Li Xiaoyaro was on the verge of death. He had to bring the strength of the ancient sword spiritual power to the extreme in order to stop the pressure from the Zhong Mo, but even so, they were still unable to withstand it, and were all heavily injured. And 3 other presbyter of God's tribe surrounded them. They all had lofty expressions. Tan Dapao tried his best to stand up, and said solemnly, "This bunch of God's tribe dogs, even if I have to die." Not waiting for him to finish. An intimidating aura came crashing down. "Kneel down." Boom. Instantly crushing Tan Dapao to the ground. He knelt there, blood flowing out from the corner of his mouth. Tan Dapao was trying his best to struggle, but not at all. Not just him. No one was able to make it here. In order to block the attacks of the Zhongmo, they had all used up all the energy in their bodies. "God's tribe dog, fuck your ancestor." Xiao Bai roared. Even when he struggled to stand up, he was also heavily crushed by this pressure. "Kneel on the ground." All of them were being crushed. What they wanted to do now was to drag a few descendant of God's tribes down with them before they died. "Understood. Don't worry, Grand Elder. None of them will be able to escape." Receiving the orders from the Great Elder, one of the elders coldly smiled and said, "The Great Elder said to kill them all." Immediately, an elder walked to the side of Elder Swordsman and sneered, "Li Xiao Yao, back then you escaped. I never thought you would actually dare to appear again and fight against the God's tribe. The last time I annihilated your fairy sword sect was to give you a reminder, fighting the God's tribe would not end well. I never thought you would still dare to come. You escaped last time. Let's see how you can escape this time." An elder stared at Queen of Blood Moon and said, "This little lady is not bad, anyway they are going to die, why don't you let us have a good time before we die?" "Ha ha ha. I think so too. These women are all pretty good looking. It must be great. Ha ha ha." Some of the disciples also revealed an evil, lewd smile. Queen of Blood Moon's body slightly shrank. An elder came to her side, "Little girl, don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. As long as you can make me feel good, maybe I will spare your life." Gudong. As he spoke, that elder swallowed his saliva and rubbed his hands. He had a pockmarked face, and a gigantic mole on the corner of his mouth. He was as ugly as he could be, and just by looking at him, he was able to make others feel disgusted. He walked to Queen of Blood Moon's side and untied the belt on his pants. His face had an evil lewd smile. "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Little lady, come on." Everyone was furious. However, one by one, they were forced to kneel on the ground, unable to do anything. Susu began to cry loudly, "Big brother Long Fei. Big brother Long Fei. Where are you, Big brother Long Fei? Hurry up and come over." He saw that the elder was only left with his underpants. Lan Mai could not help but shout out, "Long Fei, where are you? Hurry up and show up. Quickly. I'm begging you, hurry up and show up." They cried and roared at the top of their lungs. Those presbyter of God's tribes all laughed complacently. "It doesn't matter who you call, no one can save you, ha ha ha. This is the result of fighting with the God's tribe. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha." All of them laughed wildly. The elder's eyes lit up, his hands on his underpants, staring at Queen of Blood Moon's chest. He said, "Young lady, after serving me well, you will be able to live a few more minutes. Do your best." Ha ha ha. He moved his hands slightly and was about to take off his pants. At this moment, a red light flashed. Crack. The presbyter of God's tribe's body was split into two from the waist down, becoming two halves. His body slowly slid down, fresh blood gushing out, his eyes staring at one place. Bam! It fell to the ground. Voila! Fresh blood spurted out. The surrounding people were all shocked. What happened just now happened too fast, they didn't even have time to react. Just as the elder's body was about to fall to the ground, a man stood there, his eyes blazing. A special power was in his right hand. A power that he had never seen before. Immediately, many of the descendant of God's tribe's eyes darkened. "Who are you? Brat, you dared to kill presbyter of God's tribe, today you are dead for sure. You're courting death." It was also at this time. The man turned slowly. In that instant, Queen of Blood Moon's eyes flashed, tears flowing down, "Hubby." At this moment, Lan Mai, Su, they called out immediately, "Big brother Long Fei." "Boss. Kid, you're still here." Elder Swordsman said weakly. Long Fei saw that each and every one of them was heavily injured and their bodies were covered in blood. When he saw the naked presbyter of God's tribe, he clenched his fists tightly and said, "Sorry, I came too late." It's him. It's him. It's Long Fei. He is Long Fei. He's here. The people of God's tribe were slightly shocked, but they did not panic. After the shock, their eyes were full of ridicule and excitement. The great clan elder didn't count, but the words of the Emperor Xian were one is one, and definitely wouldn't count. Long Fei was the #1 wanted criminal. If he killed him, he would receive the Emperor Xian's reward. No one is to send a sound transmission to the Grand Elder. Let's take this brat's head off, Emperor Xian's reward will be ours. Heh. He's just one person, what can he do? Nothing. That's right, we can take care of him. That way, we can be the meritorious ministers of the God's tribe. The two elders whispered. At the same time, their eyes revealed excitement, and they laughed coldly. Long Fei, you dog. As soon as he finished, Long Fei raised his gaze and clenched his fists tightly. Buzz. The power of eternity was surging. His figure moved. Bam! The head of the elder flew 100 meters away and was immediately snapped off by Long Fei's fist. Long Fei clenched his teeth and said, "Both of you will die, both of you will die, both of you will die." Yi Zichen clenched his teeth. The fury on his body burned crazily. He didn't dare to imagine what would happen if he was even a few minutes slower. He didn't dare to imagine such a thing. His heart was filled with violence. He needed to kill in order to eliminate the ruthless aura in his body. A violent, murderous punch. Those descendant of God's tribe were slightly startled. Without showing any fear, the elder sneered, "Ha ha ha. Brothers, attack together and kill him. Each of you will obtain the position of presbyter of God's tribe. Kill." A savage sound rang out. Many of the descendant of God's tribes rushed towards Long Fei without a care for their own safety. Not far away, young Taoist wanted to attack, but he was stopped by the Wild King. He shook his head and said, "Don't go, he needs to vent. Whether it's killing or getting beaten, he needs to vent." Young Taoist said, "The power of eternity of senior brother is not very flexible at the time. If something happens, how will I explain it to master?" Kwong Wang said, "Who can kill him? His cultivation base seemed very low, but he is the eternal lord, the person the eternal coffin chose. Do you think he will die? Can ordinary people kill him? Also, haven't you noticed this recently? He did not cultivate, but his control over the power of eternity is getting stronger and stronger. If one were to say that he was only able to touch the doorstep of Hall of Eternal Life, then he has already been completely buried in the doorstep." Kwong Wang had been paying attention to the power of eternity that erupted from Long Fei's body the entire time. What he said. Young Taoist heard his master's words and said, "This is also a type of experimental learning." Ah! Kill him! Kill him! Dozens of descendant of God's tribe took out all kinds of treasures, releasing all kinds of killing moves, all of them resonating with Long Fei. Long Fei stood in place, his gaze sweeping across them as he coldly spoke. "I once swore with my own blood that I would definitely turn over God's tribe. Now, starting from here, if the God's tribe is not eliminated, I will never stop killing." Buzz. The power of eternity on his right arm shook. Rumble. A powerful shockwave swept out. In an instant, the descendant of God's tribes and elders who pounced on him were all turned to powder. Even his primordial spirit was crushed. Not a single one remained. Long Fei could not find any other method to replace this kind of massacre. Not only did he need to kill the people from the God's tribe, he also needed to completely exterminate the soul of the God's tribe. Even if they were ghost. Dozens of descendant of God's tribes disappeared. Long Fei's anger did not decrease at all. He turned and looked at them, took out a few pills and said, "You guys take these first. Xiao Bai, come over." Xiao Bai walked up and said, "Boss, what do you want me to do?" Long Fei asked, "Did the dragon ancestor in the sky follow me before?" Xiao Bai nodded his head. "Yes, when they were in the profound sky continent, they appeared. The 13th dragon ancestor had been following you during the battle, and they had always been protecting you." Binghua said weakly, "Boss, God's tribe is too much. They are too much. First, let the blood flow, then flay the skin, and then the tendons will be pulled. If the dragon tendon is pulled, then they. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and shouted, I know. It was also at this time. Queen of Blood Moon grabbed Long Fei and said, Hubby, don't go. Susu also shook his head, and said, Big brother Long Fei, God's tribe is really too strong, don't go, okay? Lan Mai added, 13th dragon ancestor are just a trap, and are there to kill you. If you were to go back at this time, you would fall into their trap. Elder Swordsman also said weakly, Brat, I know that you are burning with anger and that you are anxious for revenge, but you really cannot go. There are many ancient strongness in shrine who are not a match for you. Long Fei struggled free from Queen of Blood Moon's hands, looked at each and every one of them and said, You are all injured to this extent. If I don't do anything, would I still be human? Queen of Blood Moon said with tears streaming down her face, Hubby, I've never begged you for anything, today I'm begging you, don't go, okay? Elder Swordsman said, You are the only one who can fight against God's tribe right now, and if you don't exist anymore, then this universal realm will have no hope in the future. Xiaobai said, Boss, what eldest sister-in-law and elder swordsman said is right. You have always been telling us that as long as we live, there will be hope. The God's tribe was too strong, too strong. Zhong Mo's palm attack just now covered the sky and the sun. That power was something they couldn't shake. In front of Zhong Mo, they felt like they were nothing more than ants. He wasn't a match at all. He couldn't stop it at all. If Zhong Mo had used his full strength just now, they would have died a long time ago. Long Fei looked at them, his heart heavy. Too weak, I'm still too weak. Crack. Long Fei said in a heavy voice, I know that God's tribe is very strong, but there are some things that must be done. Wait for me here. The feather god wings behind Long Fei moved, extended out and fiercely flew towards the sky. It had to be done. He was a man. He was Xiaobai's boss. He was Queen of Blood Moon's husband. He is Long Fei. If he did not make it in time for today's incident, what would be the consequences? It was hard to imagine. The reason why he became strong was to protect the people around him. If he couldn't even protect his own family, then what was the point in becoming strong? What was the meaning of living? So what if the God's tribe is strong? He would be stronger. It shot up into the sky like a rocket. As he flew in the air, Long Fei bellowed, Emperor Xian, get out here right now. Emperor Xian, get out here. Emperor Xian, get out here. Roar. The voice carried the power of eternity, and quickly spread out for tens of millions of kilometers, continuously spreading outwards, finally covering the entire universal realm. Emperor Xian, get out here. Emperor Xian, get out here. Emperor Xian, come out and die. The echoes continued to come back. The entire universal realm was trembling because of it. Someone is challenging the Emperor Xian. Who is it? He actually dares to challenge the Emperor Xian, who's tired of living? Damn, is this guy courting death? Challenge the Emperor Xian, this is a challenge to the god. All of a sudden, all the people of the universal realm looked up at the sky. This was because they knew that the god's tribe was within the shrines of the heavenly region, and also in the sky. They wanted to know who was so savage, to actually dare to challenge the Emperor Xian. Everyone thought that this person was overestimating himself. He would die soon. His voice spread throughout the entire universal realm, and at the same time, exploded within the shrine. All of a sudden, many presbyter of God's tribes quickly flew out. Who is it? Is that the guy from the 9 heavens? Report. It's the person flying up from the mountain. It seems to be, like, Long Fei. The great elder's pupils constricted and the corners of his mouth curled up coldly. He said excitedly, I didn't expect that my brain would actually be flooded, and that I would actually dare to come here to die. Humph. You dog, you dare to challenge Emperor Xian. Today, we'll see if you live to see tomorrow's sun. The great clan elder was startled, and asked, where are the Zhong Mo people? Reporting to great clan elder, Zhong Mo is still guarding there. The great elder sneered and said, have Zhong Mo send him back to the west with a single palm. Let's go take a look and see how this Long family kid died. Ha ha ha. The one-punch presbyter of God's tribe quickly walked out. In mid-air, Long Fei stood in the air, looking at the 13th dragon ancestor's body, at the 13 elders who were grabbing the dragon tendon and about to pull it out. His anger grew even more ferocious. Ah! With a furious roar, the feather god wings on Long Fei's back moved again, and charged forward even faster. Buzz! A buzzing sound was heard. Next, the sky suddenly darkened, as if a layer of sky had suddenly collapsed and came crashing down. In the distance, Zhong Mo said coldly, "Remains of the dragon race? You don't even have a dragon body. You want to overturn the heavens? Get out of my way." He could tell at a glance that Long Fei possessed dragon blood essence. However, as a dragon that possessed dragon blood essence but lacked a dragon's body, this kind of dragon race was completely useless. The dragon race's greatest strength was not their strength or speed, but their physical bodies. The physical body of the strongest being on the surface. A dragon without a body is nothing. Great Clan Elder, Zhong Mo has made his move. The Great Elder immediately smiled. A single slap will grind that kid into dust. Heh. Look at this attack. Wow, it's like the heavens are crushing us. Kill him. The sky darkened, and heavy pressure came crushing down. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. His speed did not slow down by even a bit as he crazily charged forward, watching the black palm strike down, all the power in his body surging forth. Just as he was about to explode, a figure rushed up behind him. Mad King. He smiled excitedly and said, "Leave this small fry to me." He waved his right hand. The devil's battle axe in his hand roared and the muscles on Quang Wang's body exploded. He gripped the axe tightly and swung it towards the black sky. Boom! The two forces collided. A beam of light shot out from the forceful shockwave, causing space to split open in mid-air. The giant palm was flipped over. Zhong Mo's body retreated, his face turned ugly. He stared at the Wild King and asked, "Who are you?" The Savage King grinned and said, "I am your ancestor." Zhong Mo glared at him, "You're courting death." He turned over his huge palm. This time, the sky, which was thousands of miles high, was suddenly blocked. Moreover, when the strong ancient power surged out crazily, the space of the universal realm could not take it and started to crack continuously. Seeing this, Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart, and asked, "Quang Wang, can you do it?" The Wild King laughed, "No problem. You go and do your own thing. I can take care of this little guy in a few minutes." Wild King was just one word, crazy. Zhong Mo is also a super powerhouse, but the Savage King didn't care about him at all. Seeing the black mass, the Wild King rubbed the bridge of his nose and said, "Your father has never met anyone who can fight here. You're not bad, you have some strength. However, just this little bit of strength is not enough. A big slap. Then I'll destroy it." Buzz. His figure disappeared. Zhong Mo's pupils tightened. His reaction was also extremely fast. The moment he saw the great barbarian king disappear, he immediately flipped his palm and clenched it tightly. In an instant, Quang Wang stood in the center of Zhong Mo's palm and clenched his 5 fingers, as if he was a rootless heaven pillar crushing down. "Your reactions are pretty good. It's just a pity. Too bad it's not fast enough." Quang Wang smiled excitedly as his body slightly sank. He glared at the center of his brows like an angry Buddha, silently chanting, "Wild God Art. 10,000 rampage heavens." Boom! A beam of light shot out from his body. In an instant, his figure transformed into tens of thousands of beams of light, each of them wielding a battle axe. Then, a heavy blow came down. Boom! Boom! Rumble! Every attack was a critical strike, and every critical strike exploded on the Zhong Mo's palm like an explosion. Rumble! Hualala! The dark sky seemed to have cracked, as holes appeared one after another. Zhong Mo also let out a blood-curdling scream. Ah! At the same time, he was still using his strength. Quang Wang laughed, "What a mess." Long Fei looked at Zhong Mo and knew that he was no match for the Raging King. He also increased his speed and rushed towards Shrine. The great clan elder's eyes darkened. Seeing the great Zhong Mo heavily injured, he coldly said, "Useless trash." It was also at this time Long Fei was about to rush to the entrance of the shrine. The great clan elder laughed sinisterly. Array, open. Boom. In an instant, Long Fei felt like he was being sucked in by a powerful force and he fell down, unable to control his own body. He turned his head to the side and saw that behind him was an endless abyss. The great elder smiled sinisterly. Go to hell. Ha ha ha. You want to fight me? You overestimate yourself. The God's Tribe formation was a very powerful formation. It came from the hands of the Emperor Xian as well, and was similar to the great protective formation of the shrine. So far, no one had been able to break through. Just as Long Fei fell into the endless abyss, a few golden runes suddenly appeared behind his back, and directly pushed him up into the sky. It was also at this moment. Young Taoist smiled faintly, and said, Senior brother, let me pass this trial. As soon as he finished, he fell into the abyss. Long Fei flew up and stood at the main entrance of the shrine. The Raging King blocked the Zhongmo, and the young Taoist broke into the God's Tribe formation in Long Fei's place. The Raging King blocked the Zhongmo, and the young Taoist broke into the God's Tribe formation in Long Fei's place. At this moment, Long Fei stood at the entrance of the God's Tribe palace. Eyes were the fiery eyes of truth. The power burning in his right hand was power of eternity. It would appear and disappear at times, making it impossible to understand. Seeing him appear, the great clan elder's gaze tensed up as he stared at Long Fei, and laughed coldly. Congratulations, you are the only person in the past 10 million years who has not obtained the permission of the God's Tribe to stand here. At the same time, you have to tell me that you are going to die soon. The great elder's eyes were filled with disdain. What did Long Fei count for? In his eyes, Long Fei had never been a problem. He had never even placed Long Fei in his eyes, because there was simply no need for him to, and Long Fei did not have the qualifications either. Right now, even the dragon race was being stepped on by the God's Tribe. What could a mere remnant of the dragon race do? There was nothing to be done. They were just here to throw away their lives. Long Fei did not speak further, and said solemnly, Release the 13th dragon ancestor. Her voice was very cold. Fury. Ha ha ha. The great elder sneered and said, Are you begging me? If you're begging someone, then you have to act as if you're begging someone. You want me to let them go? Sure, kneel down first. The Grand Elder was extremely pleased with himself. Even if Long Fei brought Rampage King and young Taoist, he was confident. There were many ancient strong in the shrine and they were not the strongest. Did he need to be afraid of Long Fei? Long Fei's eyes darkened and his voice became even colder. As if he had come from hell, he stuttered each word. I said release the 13th dragon ancestor. The words seemed to carry a flame. The great elder's expression turned sinister. An elder stepped forward, pointed at Long Fei's nose and bellowed, You, a waste of warrior realm, dare to make a ruckus in front of us? As soon as he finished, Long Fei raised his fiery eyes of truth, and his figure moved. Boom. With one step, he landed in front of the presbyter of God's Tribe who was speaking. Seeing Long Fei in front of him, he did not hesitate at all as well. The power of the God's Tribe surged and struck towards the center of Long Fei's brows with a palm as he yelled, Die. However, before his palm could strike down, his neck was already locked onto by Long Fei's arm. Long Fei stared at the great clan elder and said, Let them go. As he spoke, he exerted force with his arm. Exploding forth. Crack. The elder's neck was immediately torn apart by Long Fei and half of his body kneeled in front of Long Fei. With his head on the ground, Long Fei stomped his feet and said heavily, Let them go. Bam. The head exploded, brain matter, and blood splattered on the ground. The faces of all the presbyter of God's Tribe darkened, many of their elders immediately took a step back. To kill the presbyter of God's Tribe right in front of their eyes. Everyone in God's Tribe saw this move. The great clan elder's face was extremely ugly as he stared at Long Fei. An elder spoke out, You dare to kill presbyter of God's Tribe? Kid. You're dead today. Heaven's fusion. Both of his palms moved, and energy emitted explosive booms in the air. The power of the God's Tribe surged as he struck out with a palm that heavily exploded towards Long Fei. Die. The elder roared. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly, I'm killing your presbyter of God's tribe. Boom. He waved his right hand, and rumbling sounds filled the air. Boom. The power of the heavens fusion shattered, the elder staggered, his face was pale, staring at Long Fei, but he realized that Long Fei had already disappeared. A cold shiver went down his spine. Crack. A head flew down and a single stomp from the foot smashed the head into the ground. The system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing presbyter of God's tribe. Do you want to ingest his level? Ding. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the power of ancient inheritance. With your combined strength, do you want to cultivate it? Long Fei directly ignored the level aspect. Back then, Long Fei had even given up on the rank of Water Space Demons in the seal. It would be better to keep his body at rank 1. This was a powerful advantage for him. Long Fei did not give up on the power of the ancient inheritance. Ding. System notification. Cultivating success. Basically, any presbyter of God's tribe who could mix in even a little would have the power of an ancient inheritance, which was bestowed to them by the Emperor Xian. However, the ancient inheritance that they were cultivating did not truly come from the ancient world, but from the Emperor Xian. Every single one of the power of ancient inheritance was like the blood essence flowing through the body of the Emperor Xian, and every single loss was as clear as day. Ancient world. In a gloomy place. Emperor Xian raised his eyes and released a sharp light. Opposite him sat 2 white-haired men. When the man saw the light in Emperor Xian's eyes, he asked, "Brother Xian, what happened?" Emperor Xian said, "Nothing." The man said, "If Brother Xian has something to do, then go deal with it first. We can push the matter of entering the Ashura abyss a little further, since the ancient world is almost under our control, there are only a few special areas left, there is no need to rush." Emperor Xian said firmly, "The matter of entering the Ashura's chasm battlefield cannot be postponed." Another man said, "That's right. If we were to delay Master's plan, then the consequences would not be something that we can bear." Emperor Xian said, "Don't worry, I will take care of the matters regarding Universal Realm." The man's left hand moved, and a magical equipment like a small collar appeared out of thin air on his palm. He said, "Brother Xian, this is a soul-locked chain, a supreme divine treasure. It's also impossible for us to walk out of the void hole." Another man also took out something and said, "This is a Zhentian divine seal, it will be destroyed 10,000 times under the divine seal, no physical body will be able to withstand its attack, you should also carry it with you." These 2 things were supreme-level divine treasures. Even in the ancient world, it would be considered a top-notch divine treasure, let alone in the universal realm. Emperor Xian said, "Then, thank you very much." The idea moved, forming a seal with one hand. A clone condensed out from Emperor Xian's body. The Emperor Xian passed these 2 items to his clone and said, "Go to the universal realm and take a look at what exactly happened there." The doppelganger shivered slightly, then disappeared with the item in his hand in the blink of an eye. 2 heads of presbyter of God's tribe S were smashed apart by Long Fei in succession. Long Fei's eyes burned with flames as he stared at the great clan elder. Once again, he said, "I said it, release the dragon ancestor." The great elder looked as if he had been humiliated. Anger flared in his eyes, and he said coldly, "I heard that your dragon ancestor would only be crippled after he used the dragon tendon. Listen to me." His voice shook. The head elder said with a loud voice, "Pull out their dragon tendons." At this moment, Long Fei rushed forward with endless fury. "Pull out their dragon tendons. Pull out their dragon tendons." The great elder roared. He was thoroughly enraged. To consecutively crush 2 presbyter of God's tribe in front of him, how could the might of the God's tribe possibly remain? What face did he have? What would happen if he didn't return the color? The great elder roared. 13 presbyter of God's tribe who were standing on top of the dragon head picked up the skinning hook and hooked the dragon tendon. The dragon ancestor let out a wail. Roar! Elder Tian Kai tightly restrained them, but they were still unable to move. They could only let themselves be manipulated. However, even if they could resist now, it would be of no use. Drying away the dragon blood and having their dragon skin peeled off, they were incomparably weak now. To rescue them was too difficult, it was simply too difficult. However, even if he still had a breath of air left in Long Fei, he would still risk it all. This was because they were the dragon ancestors, his own brothers. He was also one of his own clansmen. Ah! With the order from the great clan elder, Long Fei bellowed in rage. Her body moved, and in an instant, she grabbed onto the great clan elder's throat, raising her hand with force. The great elder was immediately lifted into the air. Long Fei's eyes were brimming with anger. He roared once again, "Ah!" Boom! The burning fury on Long Fei's body could be seen with the naked eye. He stared at the great clan elder who was lying on the ground and shouted, "Release them." The great clan elder laughed coldly, "Ha ha ha. Do you think it's possible? Ah! Then die." Long Fei punched out. Bam! It heavily smashed into the face of the head elder. A powerful shockwave burst out from the ground. This punch, Presbyter of God's tribe simply could not withstand it. However, when Long Fei pulled out his fist, a sneer came out from the deep pit, "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha." Slowly, the great elder crawled out from the deep hole. There wasn't the slightest injury on his body. Not only that, the aura on his body was very special. Evil. Kill me. Even if you add all 10 of them together, it won't work. The great elder smugly smiled. "Do you know what kind of power I train in? Undead power. You can kill me. Ha ha ha. How ignorant." The grand elder mocked. The power of ancient inheritance he cultivated in was immortal. He wouldn't die even if he was attacked. The reason he could become the great clan elder of the God's tribe was also because of this. After cultivating for so many years, he had already cultivated the power of the ancient inheritance to the great perfection stage. If he didn't die, he wouldn't be injured. He hadn't even been injured by any powerful attacks. If he couldn't even injure her, how could he die? The great elder laughed sinisterly. "Brat, are you in despair? Ha ha ha." And at the moment he laughed, boom! With an explosive sound, his robe burst apart, revealing his shriveled black body. Like an old locust tree, his body was pitch black, and there was no luster to be seen on his skin. However, that evil power seemed to have grown stronger. He stared at Long Fei and squinted his eyes, saying, "Is someone like you fit to fight God's tribe?" Boom! He exploded forth with his strength. Buzz! An overwhelming amount of energy rushed towards Long Fei from all directions. The head elder floated up and said gloomily, "Feel the despair." Boom! His body vanished. In the next second, he was right in front of Long Fei, and the energy in all directions suddenly shrank back, directly gathering into his fist and striking down fiercely at Long Fei's abdomen. Die. Immortal energy. Ha ha ha. Great Elder might not die, but if he were to punch out now, that kid would probably be reduced to smithereens. Why not? And yet, he had to make a move against the Great Elder. The Great Clan Elder is a man who fought alongside the Emperor Xian. He cultivates the front ranks of the ancient inheritance. "Even if I don't die, I'll beat you until your scalp goes numb." Ha ha ha. Look at him, he doesn't even know how to react. With a stupefied expression, he's going to die soon. Many of the elders began to mock him. The Great Elder of God's tribe was not because of his age, but because he had fought with the Emperor Xian before, and was someone who had lived for a very long time. The power of the ancient inheritance he cultivated in was also the strongest. Undead power had been cultivated to a super realm. Long Fei stood in his original position without moving, as if he had not reacted to it. His eyes were even more gloomy and cold as he watched the great clan elder's fist flying towards him. All of this. In Long Fei's eyes, it was like a slow movement. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up and said, "What a coincidence. What you cultivate is not death, what I cultivate is eternal life. Let's see who is stronger." His right arm sank. He directly blocked it. The power of eternity on his arm also fiercely exploded. The head elder's eyes turned sinister as he attacked with all his might. Buzz. Undead power against power of eternity. The moment the two forces collided, rumble. The space around the two continued to shatter as dozens of energy shockwaves shot out. The shockwaves were extremely shocking, as if two planes were colliding. The Great Elder's pupils contracted. The joints on his fists constantly exploded. Crack, crack, catcher. The joints split. The bones were breaking. The great elder's shriveled body continued to tremble. His complacent expression turned into one of astonishment. His pupils constricted and his face twitched. Bam! Ah! The great elder's body bounced as he was sent flying. Long Fei still stood there, unmoving. Boom! He landed heavily on the ground and flew out several meters. Fart! The head elder spat out a mouthful of blood. Looking at the blood he spat out, his eyes trembled. No, no, impossible, absolutely impossible. I can't be hurt. Catcher, catcher. His arm was still exploding and bones were falling off one by one. His face turned pale. Blood gushed out again and he spat it out. No, no, my undead power cannot hurt anyone, no one can hurt me. The surrounding presbyter of God's tribe were all dumbstruck. He had never seen the Grand Elder injured. Never. But this time. However, he was so severely injured that he couldn't even get up at the first moment. How is that possible? As the Great Elder roared, Long Fei walked forward step by step. Like a death god, he stared at the Great Elder and said with a cold smile, "Undead power? What a mess." The Great Clan Elder's eyes turned sinister as he said, "Long Fei, you. Long Fei laughed, and said, "What about me? What can I use to fight you? What right do I have to fight with you?" Long Fei laughed coldly in disdain, and said, "I also wanted to ask you this. Do you think you're very strong? Do you think you can survive without getting hurt? But you're not even a boss. What qualifications does a low-level monster like you have to be so arrogant in front of me?" While they were talking, Long Fei stood in front of the Great Elder, and the energy on his right arm was still burning. Long Fei had only looked at it once since the beginning. Long Fei had only looked at it once since the beginning. Amongst so many presbyter of God's tribe, none of them had reached the level of a boss. In other words, these people were all monsters, even the elite monsters couldn't compare to them. If they couldn't even deal with these monsters, then what was the point of coming here? The Grand Elder was powerful. The powerful inheritance of the undead power. It was still a mini-monster. Long Fei looked at him. The Great Elder trembled secretly. No, no, you can't kill me. If you kill me, you will die as well. Your 13 dragon patriarchs will also die. You'd better find out. Long Fei said coldly, "Release the 13th dragon ancestor." The Great Elder said, "Return to the surface first." Bam! Without waiting for him to finish speaking, Long Fei kicked him hard. The Great Elder's eyes suddenly bulged, and his body curled up in pain. When the surrounding presbyter of God's tribes wanted to rush over, Long Fei swept his cold eyes across them. "All of you, scram." As he spoke, he stomped on the Great Elder's body again and said coldly, "Did you hear that? Release them." The Great Clan Elder was in unbearable pain. It was as if his undead power was completely useless in front of Long Fei, completely suppressed, unable to be unleashed at all. Immortality and immortality seemed the same. However, in fact, it was completely different. The power levels were completely different as well. Long Fei's power of eternity came from the one and only eternal coffin in the universe. The eternal coffin came from the immortal world of the sovereign realm, but where did the undead power on the Great Elder's body come from? Emperor Xian. The power of the Emperor Xian came from the ancient world. The level of the ancient world realm was completely incomparable to the immortal world. Thus, Great Elder's undead power was as weak as an ant in front of Long Fei's power of eternity. The Great Elder trembled. Fine, let them go, I'll let them go. His undead power was being crushed, and in order to live, he could only compromise. However, the Great Clan Elder looked at him with hatred. The Great Clan Elder's gaze tightened as he stood up with difficulty. He looked at the 13 presbyter of God's tribes in the distance and said, "All of you, listen to me." At this moment, buzz, the sky darkened. A pressure that was like a raging sea came crashing down. Long Fei's mind exploded, his body trembled, as though he was about to be crushed by the pressure. He felt extremely uncomfortable. Everyone from God's tribe raised their heads and looked. Ha ha ha. Immediately, the great clan elder laughed out loud. He stared at Long Fei excitedly and said, "Brat, it's time for your death." Ha ha ha. God's tribe will never compromise. You think you can still command me? You're going to die soon. The head elder became even more arrogant, looked at the sky and said, "Lord Luosha, it's him. Kill him." Wung. Buzz, buzz. Wave after wave of pressure came crashing down with an endless aura of power, as if the sky was not the sky, but a 10,000 meters deep ocean while Long Fei stood at the bottom of the ocean. His body was unable to withstand the pressure. Long Fei's eyes raised slightly, and said, "Golden light?" A boss finally came. Golden light shot out in all directions. There was no doubt. This guy is a boss. However, whether or not he was a boss was not important right now. The most important thing was the Great Elder. He could order the 13 elders and stop the dragon tendon. It was simply impossible for Long Fei to rush over as soon as he could. They could only let the Grand Elder give the order. Facing the strong pressure, Long Fei moved his idea, power of Dao Tai, absorb. The mini black holes in the pubes began to spin. At the same time, Long Fei grabbed the Great Elder and said, "Let them release the dragon ancestor." The Great Clan Elder stared at Long Fei sinisterly, and said, "Brat, you still don't understand. God's tribe will never compromise, and with Lord Luosha here, you will soon die." Ha ha ha. Still laughing, right? Long Fei grabbed the Great Clan Elder's neck, his 2 fingers moved, as he wanted to pinch the throat of the Great Clan Elder to pieces. However, in an instant, his right hand suddenly lost all of its strength. The Grand Elder was trembling. He thought that he was going to die. But then, his eyes shone with a bright light as he stared at Long Fei and said, "Your strength. Your energy is almost used up, right? Ha ha ha. Without that strange power, would you have been able to injure me at all?" Indeed. In that instant, the power of eternity suddenly disappeared. Long Fei was unable to continuously use this power. Until now, he still could not completely grasp the power of eternity. His heart tightened. However, and in that instant, the power of eternity surged out once again. The Great Elder was instantly lifted into the air. Long Fei asked, "It couldn't hurt you at all?" The Great Clan Elder's eyes darkened. Sensing the strong power, he immediately said, "Long Fei, you can't kill me. If you kill me, all of your dragon ancestors will die. You can't kill me. If they kill me, they will die as well. Ha ha ha. Let me go. Only by letting me go can they live." Long Fei looked at the Great Elder, then looked at the 13 dragon clans in the distance, and hesitated in his heart. The dragon tendon was already in the hands of the 13 elders. If they pulled harder, the entire dragon tendon would be pulled out. At that time. It was also at this time. The green dragon's pupils suddenly changed. It let out a dragon's roar. Roar. "Boss, don't worry about us. Don't worry about us." As the azure dragon spoke, all of the presbyter of God's tribe slightly trembled. Many of the presbyter of God's tribes were shocked. What's going on? Wasn't he living with the seal? Why did he speak? Is the breaking through the seal ready? Cold sweat seeped out of the 4 elders' foreheads as they said, "Great Elder, the azure dragon has broken through its bindings." As Long Fei looked at the green dragon, images emerged in his mind. He went from a green dragon tripod to a green dragon ancestor, accompanying him in battles everywhere. Long Fei's heart was going crazy. His strength was also going berserk. The azure dragon said loudly, "Boss, we can't handle it anymore. Don't worry about us." The Great Elder felt that Long Fei's power was going berserk, and heavily shouted, "Pull out his dragon tendon for me." Ah! The moment he finished his words, Long Fei's palm directly crushed the Great Elder's throat. He was infuriated. The Great Elder's throat was broken, his primordial spirit was still alive. He looked towards Luosha, who was falling down from the sky, and said, "Lord Luosha, save me, save me, save me." Ah! Long Fei roared again. The great power of the berserk force directly crushed the Grand Elder into dust, and even his primordial spirit was shattered. The 13 elders pulled out their dragon tendons forcefully after receiving the order. Woo! It let out a painful scream. Long Fei's body shot forward, disregarding his own safety. Luo Sha heavily fell down. It stood in front of Long Fei, blocking his way. Long Fei's eyes shone with a bloody light, and he said, "Scram to the side." The power of eternity on his arm immediately combusted, using his hand as a blade and slashing forward. Rocksha's body was split into two. Instant kill. Explode. The boss was instantly killed with a single move. The golden boss's body suddenly split apart, and Long Fei directly went through it. Without even looking at him once, she rushed towards the 13th dragon ancestor Sr. Long Fei was roaring, completely furious. Seeing the dragon tendon being pulled out, his heart twitched in pain for some reason, as if a steel needle had pierced through it. His body couldn't stop trembling. So much so that Long Fei was not in the mood to listen to the system's notification sound. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing ancient Luo Sha. Do you wish to absorb it? Long Fei roared, "Scram!" He was furious to the point that he was extremely fed up with the system's prompting sounds. Originally, the boss drop had been the best notification, but right now, he didn't feel anything. He just wanted to save the dragon ancestor. The system was in charge, he was not that chick now, and would not disappear just because of a single word from Long Fei. The notification sound continued. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Luo Sha Blade. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Luo Sha Night Soul Orb. These two things were also holy artifact grade and were not that good. However, the system beep did not end there. Instead, a voice different from a normal tone of voice suddenly rang. The sound was especially crisp and clear. Ding dong! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing ancient Luo Sha, for obtaining the system's special reward extermination infinite boxing. The super big boss of the mighty martial saint. Infinite boxing. Item, infinite boxing grade. Attributes, destroy description, possesses an unlimited combo, an unlimited critical hit and does not consume any energy. Description 2, current level, 1, upgradable, this thing. He was simply a perverted existence. What did an unlimited combo mean? This meant that a combo would be able to kill you, even if you had 10 billion HP plus the infinite critical strike. It could only be described with one word, terrifying to such an extent. In addition, the level of this glove was only one level, so it could still be upgraded. This way, it would become even more abnormal. Received very little rewards for his killing and upgrading system. Moreover, the drop rate for this system was very low. Unless it was a boss, no items would drop. Even ancient Luo Sha would only drop 2 items that didn't amount to much. However, the sudden system reward gave him a fright even in his rage state. What's going on? Did my anger make the system shiver? Otherwise, why would the system suddenly give out a special reward? Long Fei muttered to himself. The idea moved, locking onto the infinite boxing. Ding! Wear it. Yes, sir. Long Fei didn't hesitate at all. His hands slightly lowered, and a special metal glove appeared on his fist. He didn't feel too much, just that he felt that he was firmly holding onto his strength. He didn't think too much about it. The feather god wings moved, boom. His body exploded forward. His entire body charged straight towards the 13 presbyter of God's tribe's roar. The green dragon let out a painful dragon's roar. The dragon tendon was pulled out by half and the green dragon tendon flickered with a green light. It was just like a piece of azure-colored glass. As the dragon tendon left his body, the body of the green dragon trembled rapidly. He was being suppressed by the seal. His pain couldn't be released at all. His enormous body couldn't even struggle, but the pain in his subconscious was indescribable. This was the most painful thing. Seeing the dragon veins on the 13 dragons being pulled out one by one and seeing each and every one of them being pulled out, Long Fei felt as if the marrow in his spine was being pulled out. The pain, the feeling. Boom. The feather god wings exploded outwards as if it was equipped with a propeller. Long Fei's berserk state caused the Dao Tai beast scales on his body to appear immediately, and his entire body seemed to have transformed into a berserk Dao Tai beast. The dragon tendon was drawn out. Now. God's tribe, fuck your ancestors. Why? Woo woo. Big brother Long Fei was forced into such a state by them. Xiao Bai and the others raised their heads and looked at the sky, watching Long Fei's fury and the 13 dragon tribes' dragon tendons slowly being extracted. Their hearts were also incomparably heavy. He wanted to rush up to the heaven gate, but there was nothing they could do. They could only watch as Long Fei endured by himself. They couldn't understand it, but they knew clearly in their hearts that Long Fei was currently in pain. I've followed Boss for so long, but I've never seen him this angry before. Xiao Bai clenched his teeth and said. Elder Swordsman sighed and said, he is of the dragon race, who can endure the anger in their heart when they see their own people being tormented like this. Boss, kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. In another place. The expressions of the presbyter of God's tribes all darkened. Even ancient Luosha had been defeated by Long Fei. They seemed unable to accept it. It felt like an illusion. How is this possible? That's the ancient Luosha. Why, in a single move? So what if we kill him? I don't believe that he can turn the sky upside down. Meeting the shrine, Guan Tian clan. His brain had reacted very quickly, and he couldn't stay here any longer. Once Long Fei stepped into the God's tribe palace, if he couldn't hold on any longer, the consequences would be. Everyone came to their senses. An elder asked, what about the 13 elders over there? They're dead. Elder's eyes darkened. Go back. What rank of powerhouse was the ancient Luosha? It was much stronger than them, it could crush their existence with just one hand, but was instantly killed by Long Fei. If it did not leave now, it would be like a great clan elder later, and its immortal body would be killed. As for the 13 elders on the other side, they were already dead. Boom. Long Fei landed heavily on the ground. He felt the aura around the Black Dragon King burn as hot as fire. The presbyter of God's tribe's body trembled, his right hand holding onto the dragon tendon tightly, his left hand holding onto the skinned hook. He said, Brat, if you dare to take a step forward, I will immediately cut off his dragon tendon, and let him live this life. Bam! His fist moved. He directly blasted out. The head of the presbyter of God's tribe exploded. Long Fei grabbed the dragon tendon and kicked the other half of his body out. The dragon tendon was still throbbing in his hand, and he could feel the black dragon's wails. The black dragon sensed that Long Fei had grabbed its own dragon tendon. At this moment, his wailing stopped, and he said through sound transmission, Boss, you're finally here. His voice was incomparably weak. Trembling. Long Fei's hands were also trembling, his teeth were tightly clenched, and he couldn't say a single word. The black dragon said, Don't be sad for me. We aren't worth it for you to be sad over. All of our arrangements have been made. It was also at this time. The massive body of the black dragon slightly moved, and a beam of light rose into the air. The light rose, black. The light rose, black. It looked like a piece of amber. Inside was pure black. The instant this beam of light appeared, Long Fei felt an incomparably powerful energy inside. In that instant, Long Fei also understood. Dragon soul. Long Fei immediately shook his head, and said, No. The black dragon said weakly, Boss, this is the last thing I can do for you. This is also the black dragon's mission. We can't do it anymore. We can't save you, but you can't fall down. The dragon clan needs you. This world needs you. Take my last gift. Finished. The black dragon's shadow moved, as if its huge body was kneeling in front of Long Fei. This scene was extremely shocking, causing Long Fei's heart to tighten. With one hand, he gently supported the dragon soul and caught it. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining dragon soul. Black Dragon gave a faint smile and said, Thank you, boss. His body slid down from the nail and his head was split in half by the sharp nail, falling tens of thousands of meters from the sky. The black dragon's two large eyes looked at Long Fei, and then he slowly closed it. He looked at the gash on the top of his head. 0. Then, the groove disappeared. This meant death. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly, the joints in his body constantly popping out. The fiery eyes of truth had already turned red, his entire body seemed to have gone berserk. Ah! With a roar, he landed beside the other dragon ancestor. The presbyter of God's tribe was trembling, his lips turning white as he said, "Dragon, Long Fei, you." Bam! He sent his fist flying. At the same time, the green dragon faintly smiled and said, "Thank you for coming. Please accept our last gift. Don't refuse, this is our final mission. Boss, fighting together with you is the greatest honor of our lives." Buzz. The azure dragon smiled and said, "Boss, you have to walk a more beautiful path in the future. Destroy everything." Rumble. The azure dragon's body fell down as well. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Green Dragon, Dragon Soul. He watched as the azure dragon fell down. Long Fei's heart did not seem to exist as it was in so much pain that he could not even feel it anymore. His gaze swept across the other 11 presbyter of God's tribe S, and his gaze contained an incomparably fierce and cold killing intent. It was also at this time. Boom. A loud explosion resounded. The shrine door closed and a light aura enveloped the entire shrine. The 11 elders came to their senses, their eyes darkened as they shouted, "And us, and us." However, the main door of the shrine was not opened, and no one paid attention to them. They knew they had been abandoned. Looking at Long Fei's sinister gaze, they all started to tremble. "Long Fei, we are all God's tribe, you can't kill us, you." Bam! A furious killing punch. The remaining 10 elders did not dare to linger, and immediately ran away. Long Fei right now was simply a god of death, a kind of crazy god of death at that. His appearance was a massacre, an endless slaughter. In an instant. Boom. Bam. The 10 presbyter of God's tribes escaped. Shrine was filled with disdain. "You useless thing, you actually ran away? This is really embarrassing for God's tribe. He deserves to die. How could there be such a coward in the God's tribe?" Many of the presbyter of God's tribes mocked him as they seemed to have forgotten how they escaped into the shrine. "Die. All of you must die. How could Long Fei let them go?" There was no use in running around. The aura on Long Fei's body stirred, and the power of eternity that was burning on his right hand swept out. The 10 flames of power chased him like a tracking missile. Boom. Boom. Rumble. The 10 of them were instantly crushed into fine powder. The system's notification sound also continuously rang out. Long Fei did not pay attention to it from the start and did not think about absorbing their rank. He didn't even look at them. Long Fei shook his head and said, "I want all of you to live. I want you to keep fighting with me. We are brothers." Long Fei only had a few short memories, he couldn't even call out their names. He was very angry in his heart, he clenched his fists, his nails digging into the flesh of his palms, causing blood to drip out. "Boss, don't be sad. Following you is the most glorious thing in our lives. Boss, this is the day we do this. Boss, boss, boss." The 10 dragon ancestors talked non-stop, but Long Fei could not call out their names. While they were talking, Dragon Soul continued to float out from his body. They all gathered at Long Fei's side. They looked at Long Fei with incomparable determination. Long Fei shook his head and slowly kneeled on the ground, saying, "No, no, I don't want your dragon soul, I want all of you to live. Boss, this is our mission. We've been waiting for this day to come. Yeah. Boss, the reason why we exist is for this day." The 13th dragon ancestor S, along with the 9 dragon sword S, these can recreate your ancient dragon body, this is our mission. The golden dragon master said, "Do you see the dragon blood lake below us? That is our 13th dragon ancestors, spirit blood. You've gathered 9 of them together with our dragon soul. Spirit can then recreate your ancient dragon body inside it." Long Fei said, "I do not believe in any mission, I do not believe in fate. Quickly take back your dragon souls, if you view me as your boss, then listen to me." Golden Dragon Master smiled faintly, and said, "If we had a next life, we would still be like you, little brothers. Farewell." Golden Dragon Master's body sank. Crack. Hualala. The head was shattered. As his body slid down, his golden pupils slightly closed before he closed his eyes. No. Long Fei wanted to grab onto him, but he was simply unable to do so. It was also at this time. Dragon Ancestor's body sank down one after another, allowing the spikes to slice through his head. The bloody grooves on his head became 0, and then disappeared. No, no, no. Long Fei sobbed silently. There was nothing he could do as he watched the dragon ancestors fall one by one. He could only watch on helplessly. This feeling was too unbearable, too unbearable. It was as if he was watching his family die one by one. A handful of dragon's sword flew out and floated in front of Long Fei, and said, "Boss, 13th Dragon Ancestor S use their lives to complete their mission. These Dragon Soul S are their lives, and they bet everything on you." Cluck, cluck, cluck. Long Fei raised his gaze, eyes like a wild beast, and his body began to fight. The 10 Dragon Soul were taken into the space ring S. Long Fei looked at the shrine standing tall amidst the clouds, his eyes completely turning a dark red from killing intent. "If I don't kill your god's tribe, then I'm not called Long Fei." His killing intent had turned into a sea. His killing intent had turned into a sea. Fury burned in the sky. The moment Long Fei stood up, he looked at shrine, his eyes filled with killing intent. Boom. With one step, the feather god wings rushed forward. Boom. They landed at the entrance of the shrine. At this time, the main entrance of the shrine was enveloped in a halo of light. This was the Great Palace Protection Formation of the God's Tribe Palace, and also the last line of defense outside. It was also the strongest line of defense. No power could shatter it. Standing at the entrance of the shrine, Long Fei strode forward. The instant his body neared the halo of light, his mind exploded, as if it was going to explode. The entire flight was directly repelled by the shockwave. Bang, bang, bang. Retreating backward continuously, with every step, a deep footprint was left on the ground. Long Fei stood still, his mind still buzzing loudly. Shaking his head, his body sank. He leaned forward slightly, tensed up like a cheetah. Instantly, boom. He pushed with his right foot and rushed forward as fast as lightning. Rumble. He heavily struck the halo of light, which caved in slightly and released a strong elasticity. His entire body was sent flying. Bam! Long Fei landed on the ground and retreated quickly. The buzzing in his head became even louder. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Brat, you want to break through the palace protecting array? Dream on. I can't even imagine what kind of place this is. How could a little bastard like you be able to break into such a place? Presbyter of God's tribe clamored. Seeing Long Fei being sent flying by the array, they all laughed. This was a formation personally set up by the Emperor Xian. They didn't even know the name of this formation, but there was one thing. He was the strongest defensive formation up till now. No one could break it. Even the ancient Strong S were slightly shocked. It seemed like Long Fei had only attacked twice, but the defensive power the array displayed was extremely strong. What a powerful defense. This formation should be brought out by the ancient world, right? It seems to be the God's defense tactical method technique used by the defensive dragons back in the day. I never thought that the Emperor Xian would be able to take this kind of formation out of the ancient world. He really is a genius. God's defense tactical method? No wonder, this is really linked to the heavens. Let alone this place, even if it's the ancient world S, no one can break this link. It seems like this kid won't be able to come in. Alright, we'll save some trouble. Several powerhouse S glanced at Long Fei. They knew that Long Fei would never be able to break this formation. Hearing ancient world's words, those presbyter of God's tribe S became even more pleased with themselves. Did you hear that? You won't be able to break this formation. Brat, you think you can defeat God's tribe? How good are you? Is he even worthy of being a piece of trash like him? Dragons are all lackeys of our God's tribe. It's not like you have not heard the dragon ancestors learn to bark like dogs. That's really a nice name. Ha ha ha. Coincidentally, I have a sound receiver. Let it out for him to hear. Dragons are like dogs. Ha ha ha. One of the elders took it out and activated its power. Immediately, the sound of Presbyter of God's tribe teasing 13th dragon ancestor could be heard coming from inside the recording. Come and learn to bark like a dog. Woof, woof. Ha ha ha. It's really a dog's bark. What kind of dragon is this? It's clearly a dog. It's born to be a dog's material. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Kid, did you hear that? Do you want to hear it again? Dragons learn to bark like dogs, it's exactly the same as dogs. Born to be a dog. The death of the 13th dragon ancestor provoked Long Fei. He was enraged. The 13th dragon ancestor offered up their dragon soul one by one for him, and Spirit Blood's body flowed with light, as his skin and tendons were peeled off, and his head was split in half. He died an incomparably miserable death. But, even if they died, they would still be humiliated. The flames of fury on Long Fei's body burned like the dark red killing intent in his eyes. It was as if he had been demonized. Crap. He's going to go berserk. There's a demonic aura surrounding him, he's almost about to lose control of it, Tang Long immediately said, clenching his fists tightly. He said, if you become bewitched, the consequence will be. Xiaobai said, boss can control himself. God's tribe these sons of bitches. Bing Hua said in a low voice. Not to mention Long Fei. Their eyes were also completely bloodshot, and they truly wished they could charge forward and kill him. Cluck, 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 cluck. Cracks appeared in the space around Long Fei, burned and broken by the flames released from his body. He stared at the halo. Phew. Suction. Whoosh. Inhale. Breath thickened. His fists sank slightly. Looking at the infinite boxing in his hand, he said, Tyrant Destroyer Infinite Boxing. Today let me see how many levels you can reach consecutively. Bam! Long Fei's body sputtered out as he pushed himself forward. He flew into the air and landed heavily. Ha ha ha. His back. He'll be sent flying again soon. Ha ha ha. Little bastard, your dragon clan is being stepped on by us. Long Wushan has to kneel on the ground when he sees us. How dare you jump? Just you wait. Seeing Long Fei flying over once again, the Presbyter of God's tribe mocked. They knew that Long Fei would be sent flying by the God's defense tactical method soon. However, the instant Long Fei landed, his fist exploded, smashing heavily into the halo of light. Logically speaking, in this sort of situation, when the God's defense tactical method encountered such a strong attack power, it would instantly devour it and bounce back, sending Long Fei flying. However, just as he was about to catapult away, another punch landed. Bam! Bam! There was no gap between his fists at all. It was as if Long Fei had countless of hands as his fists continued to rain down like a torrential storm. A sound of explosion could be heard. Bang! 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 They simply did not give the God's defense tactical method any chance. He didn't want to give him the chance to shoot himself out. He wanted to shoot him down. There was no formation in this world that could not be broken. No matter how strong the defense was and how powerful the formation was, there was still a way to break through the formation. The method Long Fei used was the most crude, and also the most direct method. Violent bombing. Unbreakable fist. 10,000 fists. 1 million punches. 10 million punches. I'm asking you if you can break it or not. Long Fei's fist was as fast as lightning and thunder. The infinite boxing, infinite strike, was also in the midst of an unending series of critical strikes. In his system world, his moves had already reached a total of 108,000 times. The light halo caved in, and Long Fei smashed into the light halo. This time, all of the Presbyter of God's tribe were silent. Looking at Long Fei, who was trapped in the light, all of them were stunned. He couldn't say a word. Even some of the elders' bodies began to tremble. It's about to break, it's about to break. The God's defense tactical method is splitting. He was like a lunatic, constantly bombarding towards death. He was like a lunatic, constantly bombarding towards death. The infinite boxing's continuous barrage of attacks had completely crushed the entire God's defense tactical method. Its power was completely suppressed and was simply unable to be unleashed. Every single formation had its own limits. The limit. As long as this extreme was broken, the formation would be broken. Long Fei's crude method was not something any formation could withstand. So, under Long Fei's berserk attacks, the formation cracked. The cracks were like that of ice, as ear-piercing gidge-gidge sounds resounded. The cracks also crazily spread outwards with Long Fei as the center. Countless cracks appeared on the halo of light. Seeing this situation, the expressions of the presbyter of God's tribes and disciples all changed. Impossible. Impossible. This kind of great protective formation for the shrine, this is a formation personally laid down by the Emperor Xian, a perfect formation. No amount of power can break through it, it's impossible for it to break. It can't be broken. They did not believe everything that was happening before them. Who is the Emperor Xian? As the paragons of this world, the array formation that he laid down was extremely powerful and unbreakable. Furthermore, Long Fei's method to break through it was even more impossible. But now, the light was breaking apart. It wasn't because they said that they wouldn't crack if they didn't crack. The ancient strong S who were cultivating in the shrine all flew out one after another. They felt a powerful energy surging within them, and when they saw that Long Fei was about to destroy the God's defense tactical method, they couldn't help but be shocked as well. Seems like the dragon race has some skill after all. Looking at his crazy appearance, why do I feel like he's a little like the former head dragon? Long Batian. Even he was this crazy back then. Long Batian was suppressed by the repression of boundary stones, and then he fell, and his corpse was still not found. Could it be that he was reincarnated? As soon as the ancient world finished speaking, everyone's gaze tightened. They did not know that they knew Long Fei, they only knew that he was a descendant of the dragon race. Back then, they were suppressed by the three families of the dragon, Annihilation, and Tang. The seal was the most tyrannical race among them. When they saw the dragon race back then, they felt as if they had seen the Grim Reaper. In these billions of years, the hatred in their hearts did not disappear. Instead, it slowly turned into hostility, and they waited for the day they saw the light of day once again. They were always thinking of revenge. From the moment they entered the universal realm, they started to slaughter everyone crazily. It didn't matter if you were a descendant of the Dragon Clan, exterminating the Tang Clan, or a descendant of the Tang Clan. Anyone with the surname of one of the three families would die. In a short year, the three surnames of Universal Realm's inner dragon, Tang, and Annihilation had all been killed. His methods were cruel. This was how they came to seek revenge and exterminate their clan. If not for the fact that ancient world's dragon race was hiding in a relatively hidden place, and if Emperor Xian didn't stop them, they would have killed all the people of the dragon race. Now, Long Fei appeared. Moreover, it displayed endless strength, causing them to think of the reincarnation of Long Batian. At this moment, their auras changed. No matter who it is, as long as it's someone from the Dragon Clan, then they deserve to die. We definitely can't spare him. Die, he must die. A few ancient strong S thought back to the torments they had experienced in the past few years, and their expression all became sinister, staring at Long Fei like wild beasts. Bang, 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 bang. While the attacks were still going crazy, more and more cracks appeared on the halo. The God's defense tactical method was completely unable to continue anymore. A presbyter of God's tribe came over and said, "Masters of the ancient world, the God's defense tactical method art should not be able to hold on for long, following up will be." Not waiting for him to finish, an ancient strong landed heavily, and directly pushed him to the side. His eyes revealed a sinister look, as he stared coldly at Long Fei who was inside the light barrier. The elder immediately said, "Understood." He wished for this to happen. The great clan elder's undead power was blasted to death, even the ancient inheritance on their bodies would not be able to withstand such an attack from Long Fei. He quickly returned to the God's tribe and reported to the other presbyter of God's tribe. Many of the presbyter of God's tribe heaved a sigh of relief. The oppressive atmosphere had also disappeared. "Elder, they've all come out. All 38 ancient strong have arrived." And they seem to be talking about Long Batian. Who is Long Batian? Who cares who he is, as long as they appear to deal with this little bastard? Fortunately, Emperor Xian had the foresight to leave behind so many ancient strong, if not. One of the elders glared with his sword-like eyebrows and said, "What else can we do? Is there a need to be afraid of him? We all have the power of the ancient inheritance." Afraid of him? This is the shrine, why should we be afraid of him? We are the gods' tribe. This elder was extremely disdainful. Many of the presbyter of God's tribes had their expressions turn ugly after hearing what he said. Indeed, all these years, they had never come across a powerhouse that could threaten their lives. They were always on the top, always looking down on everything else, and viewed the playthings of the universal realm as ants. They were used to being arrogant and proud, yet Long Fei was so out of their minds. However, their sudden appearance caused their nerves to tense up, causing them to panic and be at a loss of what to do. After hearing what he said, all of them slowly regained their composure, and said, "You are right. We are from the God's tribe, a supreme race, so why should we be afraid of him? Elder, kill him later. Don't worry, let the ancient strong take action first." During this time, they have been arrogantly displaying their might in the shrine, absorbing the resources of the shrine. It is about time they put in some effort. You're right. Bang, bang, bang. Catcher, catcher, catcher. The cracks on the God's Defense tactical method were cracking, and Long Fei's infinite boxing had already hit it 3.8 million times. Not to mention a formation. Even if it was a boss, how could it withstand over 3 million combo attacks? The boss was probably flying in the sky and couldn't come down at all. Ah! Ah! Long Fei's eyes turned red, and like King Kong, he threw out a punch at the same time. Break for me. Rumble. 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 The God's Defense tactical method caved in, and one light ray after another turned into fragments, before disappearing into nothingness. The entire universal realm heard the sound of the God's Defense tactical method shattering. Presbyter of God's tribe's face were all gloomy, all their eyes were staring at Long Fei. The ancient strong S did the same as they coldly stared at Long Fei. Long Fei landed on the ground and stood at the entrance of the shrine. He took a step forward, and directly stepped into the shrine. With his gloomy eyes looking at the inside of the shrine, he bellowed with a heavy tone, "Emperor Xian, get the fuck out here right now." His voice was filled with rage and killing intent. His voice was filled with rage and killing intent. In an instant, the killing intent released from Long Fei's voice filled the entire shrine. Descendant of God's tribe walked out of the houses one by one. To them, no one had ever dared to be so loud in the shrine, nor did they dare to release such a strong killing intent. Who's tired of living? Who's so arrogant? Isn't he too arrogant? Is this person courting death? Some of the God's tribe's elders were furious. No one had ever dared to be impudent in the God's tribe, not even the ancient world. Because they were God's tribe. Because they were the descendants of the Emperor Xian. To call the Emperor Xian out by name, this had undoubtedly enraged the bottom line of the people of the God's tribe. Boom. The moment Long Fei's voice fell, an ancient strong figure flashed, and descended from the sky like a thunderbolt, as he stood 10 meters away from Long Fei. "You are that Long family brat?" Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he said one word. Scram! Ancient Strong's face darkened, the chi around his body suddenly changed. Buzz. The immense power formed an extremely strong pressure, the pressure condensed into substantive energy, causing the space to shatter as an ancient beast pounced towards Long Fei. Roar! With a roar, the big mouth was about to swallow Long Fei up. Enveloped by yin, it pounced down from all directions. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister, the infinite boxing gripped, and heavily shouted, "Scram!" Boom! He wanted to throw a punch out, but a shadow of a person appeared behind Long Fei and a battle axe flew out. Bam! Rumble! With a heavy blow, the countless devils on the devil's battle axe howled, instantly decapitating the ancient beast's shadow and shattering it. Kwong Wang stood in mid-air and stared coldly at Ancient Strong in the distance, and said indifferently, "Didn't you hear what my boss has said? I told you to scram. Scram, do you understand?" The savage king rushed over. From the looks of it, the Zhongmo below shrine should have been taken care of by him. He went on stage in a very domineering manner. He raised his battle axe and with a heavy swing, he placed it on his shoulder. He glanced sideways and coldly looked at a group of ancient strong in the distance. Do you know? Very arrogant, very pretentious. Isn't that fellow from the ancient strong a powerful monster? How could he be so arrogant? All of the ancient strong looked at the raging king with displeasure. Kwong Wang said sloppily, "Are you not happy with Laozi? Who the hell is going to come out? See how I kill him." Long Fei took a step forward. The savage king said, "Boss, you should rest at the side. Leave this place to me." As he spoke, he looked at Long Fei's right arm. Because the power released by Long Fei's right arm was now different from before. Long Fei's power of eternity had always been in the process of being released, and had been excessively exhausting itself. Although Long Fei had already stepped into the threshold of the power of eternity, this was only the initial stages, so using it like this was extremely disadvantageous for Long Fei. Furthermore, with Long Fei's current state, if he were to continue exhausting himself, there would be serious problems. Long Fei did not feel that his power of eternity was overdrawn. His heart was filled with killing intent. They must all die. The word dead was particularly heavy. The killing intent was extremely heavy. What a strong killing intent. No way. If Boss is in such a bad state, it will definitely cause him a lot of trouble in the future. Immediately, the Kwong Wang didn't care that much and naively smiled. Did you hear that? All of you must die. As soon as he finished, the ferocious king took a step forward. At this moment, one of the ancient strong's eyes turned sinister. The ones who died should be you too. He then leapt into the air and the sky instantly split open. A gigantic sword in the fissure rumbled through the air like a beam of light. You bunch of ants. How dare you act so arrogantly in front of us? Die. Thunder tyrant sword. Kill. As soon as his voice fell, the gigantic sword the color of Shuanar by slashed down heavily. It was as if magic had locked onto the Wild King. No matter how fast the Wild King was, it was impossible to dodge. However, the Savage King had never even thought of dodging. There was no such word in his life dictionary. The reason he was called Wild King was because of his extreme arrogance. Defensive, dodging? It doesn't exist. The devil's battle axe moved. Crash. Crackling noises could be heard as they instantly fell and directly stood in front of the ancient strong. The corners of his mouth slightly hooked up as he said, "Die." A simple word. Ancient Strong's pupils constricted as he said anxiously, "You're thinking too much." A golden light surrounded his body as the defense of a defensive treasure exploded. The astral energy in the astral energy was like a magic shield that enveloped him in an instant. The Savage King trembled slightly. Defense? That's useless. We still have to die. The veins on his arm popped, his strength increased, and his axe slashed through the heaven and earth as it flew towards Ancient Strong. However, a power attacked. It seemed to pass right by Kwong Wang's side. The violent king's mind slightly sank, and when he recovered from his shock, his gaze changed. Boss! It was unknown when Long Fei suddenly rushed forward, but he was even faster, almost in a single step. Even faster, before Kwong Wang's axe could land, Long Fei's right hand punched out. Bam! A fist struck Ancient Strong's chest. The protective air shield on Ancient Strong's body shattered. His body caved in and he spurted out a mouthful of blood. A long wound on his head dropped to the ground, but he was not instantly killed. Kwong Wang muttered, "Boss, I can kill him." Ancient Strong also stared at Long Fei and bellowed, "You dog, you actually dared to sneak and attack me, see how I am going to." Before he could finish his words, Long Fei's fists exploded outwards. Bang, bang, bang bang. A series of attacks. 2 combo. 368 combo attacks. The almighty infinite boxing and the power of eternity that erupted from Long Fei's body completely crushed that Ancient Strong, and fresh blood unceasingly sprayed out. The worst part was that Long Fei had specially set up a place for them. In just a second, The long gash on Ancient Strong's head turned into a single-digit number. His chest was instantly pierced and exploded. Die. Boom. In the end, his final punch exploded, causing Long Fei to stomp his foot on the head of that Ancient Strong. He looked at the Wild King from the corner of his eyes and said, "You're too slow. Stay by my side." Mad King is crazy. Right now, it was as if Long Fei was teaching him a lesson. Moreover, the Savage King wasn't able to refute him. He could only look at Long Fei's back and mutter, "You're awesome. Forget it, I'll let you be awesome." He could only let Long Fei in his current state. If he were to forcefully stop him, the murderous rage in Long Fei's heart might not be released at all. Moreover, he was very clear about Long Fei's style of doing things. "I owe you one." Kwong Wang scratched his head and stood to the side. He glanced at the Ancient Strong and said in a low voice, "Boss, you have to be more careful." Kwong Wang scratched his head and stood to the side. He glanced at the Ancient Strong and said in a low voice, "Boss, you have to be more careful." Long Fei ignored him. Right now, he was thinking about one thing: kill everyone in the shrine. Long Fei's killing intent surged. He looked at the Ancient Strong and said, "All of you will die. All of you will die." Boom. Too arrogant. Forget about you being Long Batian's reincarnation. Even if you are a Long Batian from the Peak Realm, you should die for me today. One of the Ancient Strong moved. His hands quickly formed a seal. Streams of power were released from his fingers. Flames curled up around them as they spread across the sky. Roar. A roar. An ancient demon beast rushed out from the sky. Its gigantic body had countless tentacles, just like an alien monster in science fiction. Incomparable savagery. He quickly rushed towards Long Fei. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back, and said, "It's too slow." Bam! With the support of his right foot, he instantly dashed forward. Landing in front of that Ancient Strong's pupils tightened, and with his super divine reaction speed, his body was about to fly out. "Leave. Die." He grabbed his feet, and before Ancient Strong could fly, they smashed onto the ground heavily. Bam! A deep pit appeared on the ground. Long Fei's body flipped, and landed in the deep pit. The infinite boxing burst out with fist after fist of heavy explosions, specially aiming at Ancient Strong's face. Bang, bang, bang. It was like a high-speed motor. In just a second, he had hit the bottom. Ding. Congratulations to the sickly Long Fei for killing Ancient Strong and releasing the absorbed cultivation. Long Fei ignored him. He pulled out his blood-stained fist, raised his eyes and stared at the Ancient Strong. "Carry him away, Nex." A domineering aura. Unstoppable. 1 per second, 2 Ancient Strongs in a row were fiercely killed by Long Fei with their fists. And once they were struck by Long Fei, they had no chance to escape. Infinite chain strike, infinite explosion. You have no way to escape. On the presbyter of God's tribe side, the people who were originally charging up all had gloomy expressions. The strength that Long Fei displayed was too terrifying. How come he's stronger than the powerhouse that came here from the ancient world? One every second, he's completely a monster. Is he really from the dragon race? What should we do? What should he do? If the Ancient Strong could not stop him, then we inform Emperor Xian, quickly go to Emperor Xian Palace and notify Emperor Xian. There's no need to inform anyone. Just now, with the death of the Great Elder and the fall of the undead power, Emperor Xian should have sensed it immediately. Emperor Xian will definitely rush back. What if? If there's no chance, the Emperor Xian will definitely not allow anyone to destroy the God's Tribe Palace. If it doesn't work out, we still have other options. When the elders heard the 2 words retreat path, their expressions tensed up because they knew where the retreat path was, ancient world. The shrine was the place where the universal realm was connected to the ancient world. The reason the God's tribe was stationed here was to protect the entrance and to prevent others from entering. However, not everyone could enter the ancient world, because different planes and laws existed. Once an imbalance was created, the physical body would be crushed into fine powder. Furthermore, ancient world was too dangerous. The God's tribe was born in the ancient world, but ever since the Emperor Xian won against him, the God's tribe moved out of the ancient world and continued to reproduce in the universal realm. This was also a deliberate arrangement by the Emperor Xian. Hopefully, I won't need to use retreat. One of the elders gave a long cry. On Ancient Strong's side. They were not in chaos, they were very calm, but everyone was furious. He was very unhappy about Long Fei's arrogance. Boom. Lame duck, see how I'll take care of you. Cloud sword. 10,000 li slash. An old man wearing a purple robe with a sword on his back flew out, the spirit chi on his body exploded out, the clouds in the sky instantly condensed into a huge sword that chopped down at Long Fei. Rumble. Rumble. The sky split open. An extremely strong pressure bore down on Long Fei. Moreover, after the purple-robed elder took out the cloud sword, his body suddenly disappeared, directly entering the void, giving Long Fei no chance to lock onto himself. They were all veterans, and would never make the same mistake twice. In the beginning, the two ancient Strong-s were both killed by Long Fei's chaotic fists, but this time, absolutely not. Buzz. Rumble. The sky exploded, and the violet-robed old man was nowhere to be seen. Many ancient Strong-s sneered, "Let's see how you will kill me now. This little bastard's gauntlet is a bit special, I just observed it carefully, his gauntlet seems to be able to strike without limit, furthermore. His cultivation is at the lowest level in universal realm, the primordial spirit energy in his body cannot sustain him at all. It can be seen that the glove is definitely not of ordinary quality. Ancient Strong already said that it was not of ordinary rank, it could be seen that the gloves on Long Fei's hands were truly powerful. Several Ancient Strong-s also agreed, that's right, his gloves are indeed special, but his strength is not only from his boxing gloves. The power released from his right hand is the strongest. I have never seen the power of his right hand before, but I can guarantee that it definitely wasn't from universal realm, nor was it from ancient world. Could he have gone to another world? Foreign lands? Zhong Xian was shocked. One of the powerhouses looked at the Wild King and said, it's possible that the aura this big guy is training with is not the power of the universal realm. It's possible that he's a powerhouse from another realm. But, didn't the void hole not open? How did outer space powerhouse get in? Is there another way? There was only one place in the ancient world that could be linked to other realms, and that was the void hole. Although the seal inside had been destroyed by the Emperor Xian and all the demons that were left behind in the ancient world had all come out, but the void hole had not opened, so it was impossible for people from the other realms to enter. Don't worry so much for now, let's kill this little bastard first. The sky darkened. The huge sword formed from the clouds came slashing down. Long Fei stood where he was and didn't move. He was looking for the location of the purple-robed elder. Can't find it. He couldn't see his position at all. It was also here all of a sudden. Golden runes flashed, and a golden rune suddenly appeared in midair. Kwong Wang was startled, and looked to the side. Young Taoist. Young Taoist broke through the God's tribe's formation and stepped into the shrine. He lightly said, "Boss, it's over there." Long Fei raised his eyes. Boom. The moment the sword fell, it rose up from the ground. His fist moved. "Explode for me." A fist blasted through space, heavily smashing into the chest of that powerhouse. With a grab of Long Fei's 5 fingers, he directly pulled him out of the air and flipped behind him. And then, the fist that was like a violent storm crazily smashed downwards. 1 second. Blood meridian, 0. Carry him away, and he will be next. After being killed again, no one could stop Long Fei. After being killed again, no one could stop Long Fei. As long as he was close enough, no one would be able to withstand him. The surface of the infinite boxing was dyed red, and its hands were burning hot. Long Fei did not notice. The image of the dragon patriarch's tragic death was still lingering in his mind. He would never stop until he destroyed the God's tribe. The strength of one level, go against the God's tribe. It could be said. This arrogance was limitless. After consecutively killing Ancient Strong, The remaining ancient strong S were suppressed by the aura on Long Fei's body until they couldn't breathe, indicating that they were in a difficult situation. All of them were infuriated. Boom. Boom. The two powerhouse S flew out and released their power. Young Taoist slightly moved. The Savage King stopped him and said, "The boss won't let you go. He's already in a berserk state, and his body is filled with killing intent. If you don't release it, I'm afraid he'll suffocate to death." Young Taoist looked at the power of eternity on Long Fei's right hand and said, "If this excessive consumption continues, his body won't be able to withstand it. No way. He's the future eternal lord, the eternal emperor. I can't let him continue like this." Young Taoist was about to fly over to Long Fei's side, but he was stopped by the Wild King. "How could I not know about this?" Young Taoist said angrily. "Since you know about it, why didn't you stop it? You will harm senior brother if you do so." Kwong Wang's eyes became angry, and he directly asked, "What did your master tell you?" Young Taoist said, "Let me protect the safety of senior brother." The Savage King asked, "Then is the boss in danger?" Young Taoist. Kwong Wang continued, "What is the Eternal Lord's experimental learning?" "You don't know, I don't know either. Even your master doesn't know entirely. The way is my Lord's own choice. Maybe this is the Eternal Lord's experience. Do you want to stop it?" Young Taoist became silent once again. This is his path. No matter how he walks, he is still walking on his own path. We are unable to choose his path for him. The only thing we can do is to allow him to walk on his own path. No more intervention is possible. Just like how a tree grows, growing freely is what he wants the most. Only then will he grow up to be a towering tree. Young Taoist said, "Then you're just going to watch?" The Savage King said, "Let's just watch him perform." With both hands on his chest, he said in a low voice, "I felt it just now. If boss were to continue his slaughter in this state, no one in Shrine would be able to stop him. He had to ensure Long Fei's safety. Absolutely safe." Young Taoist was still a little worried. Master said that senior brother's experimental learning will be very rough. Kwong Wang asked, "Then did your master say that the more difficulties you undergo, the more positive results you would obtain?" The young Taoist muttered, "Master did indeed say that, but Eternal Lord's experimental learning is different from other experimental learning. It is more dangerous than any other experimental learning. Senior brother has only just stepped into the threshold. If you continue to exhaust yourself like this, I'm worried." Kwong Wang placed his hand on young Taoist's shoulder and said, "What are you worried about? You should still worry about whether or not you can cultivate to the longevity Lord Dark Goddess's lifespan is." Young Taoist's pupils tightened. The Savage King said, "There are some things that you don't know without telling others. All right, don't be so nervous. Dark Goddess doesn't know. In her heart, you are just a man with a bad heart." Ha ha ha. Kwong Wang laughed, and he also muttered in his heart, "My craziness. And when will you be able to cultivate it?" Die. Bam. Bang. Bang 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 bang. A series of fist sounds exploded out above Shrine. Long Fei walked out from the deep pit, looked up, and said with a heavy voice, "Next, who else?" Two more ancient strong S were turned upside down. And still, he was beaten to death by Long Fei's endless barrage of attacks. Two more. This. Third Elder, should I make the arrangements first? I think we should still go to the Emperor Shen Palace. What if the Emperor Shen doesn't know what is happening here? This brat is too terrifying. He is not human at all. Ancient Strong can't hold on for more than 3 seconds in his hands. It has already far surpassed our cultivation realm. Go get the Emperor Shen, quickly. Hall of Emperor Shen, go quickly. Now they were completely panicking. Even if they knew that the great clan elder could sense that the power of the ancient inheritance had disappeared, they were still worried. Several clan elders ran towards the Hall of Emperor Shen. It was also at this time. Rumble. Rumble. A few more Ancient Strong S were smashed to the ground by Long Fei. Ancient Strong? He can't even withstand a single blow. Only trash like you are qualified to block my way. All of you, die. Long Fei let out a loud shout, and the sound dispersed into the sky. His killing intent did not weaken just because he killed a few Ancient Strong S. Instead, it became even more ruthless. The flames on his body burned even more intensely. Not only that, the power of eternity on Long Fei's right arm also seemed to have entered a berserk state. It was as if there was someone specially cultivating for him. It was as if he was right beside him. Long Fei was not in the mood to experience this kind of feeling. There was only one word in his heart: kill. Kill everything here. Next, come on, Long Fei roared. In another place. The 9-layered heavens from the guillotine. In the 9th heaven. The eyes of Long Fei's clone turned sinister as he looked at the final stage of the refinement realm, and said with a calm voice, "Why is my heart filled with killing intent? This 9th heaven. Laws of the heavens. This is the power that the Emperor Xian cultivates." All right. With a slight movement, the purple-colored gas on his body swirled slightly, absorbing the power within the 8th heavenly layer. With a flick of his finger, the energy from the 8th heavenly layer was absorbed by his body. Buzz. Purple flames soared to the sky. It formed a purple sky within the heavenly laws. Boom. Boom. An incomparably violent collision sound rang out, as if two levels were in a fight. Long Fei's clone locked his eyes tightly and felt the power of the ancient code of heaven. Something like an incense burner in his body continuously released purple flames. Half a moment. Break for me. Crack. The sky split open, and the 9-layered heavens also began to collapse at this moment. The entire God's tribe palace was trembling, as if they were about to collapse. The 9th heaven was created by the Emperor Xian. It was the pillar of the God's tribe. Now that it was split open, the shrine was shaken. Elder, the 9 heavens' destruction. What should we do? Don't worry, the guillotine is still here and there's still another forbidden force that will kill that person. Emperor Xian. Has the Emperor Xian returned? Quick, everyone go to Hall of Emperor Xian, quick. Ancient Strong-s were ravaged and crushed by Long Fei one after another. The elders and disciples of God's tribe-s were all panicking when they saw this. Ancient Strong-s were ravaged and crushed by Long Fei one after another. The elders and disciples of God's tribe-s were all panicking when they saw this. A cold shiver went down their spines. Fear. This was the feeling that many of them finally understood after birth. Their bodies trembled and staggered as if they couldn't control themselves. It would be fine if it was just one Long Fei. A 9 heavens ruptured, and the fulcrum that supported the collapse of the shrines, a person who could trample a 9th heaven to pieces, was definitely not weaker than Long Fei. Even if there was a guillotine above the 9th heaven. Beneath the guillotine, there was nothing alive. Not to mention humans, even gods would be killed as well. But their hearts were unsettled. If the guillotine could not be killed, that meant there were 2 terrifying people in the shrine. Emperor Xian must be notified as soon as possible. Emperor Xian must return, otherwise. Quick, go to Hall of Emperor Xian. Everyone, go quickly, everyone. A few presbyter of God's tribe-s shouted. Rumble. Another Ancient Strong was killed by Long Fei's fist. The remaining Ancient Strong felt fear in their hearts. In the most ancient of times, they were just a few small fries. Right now, they are still small fries to the ancient emperors of the ancient world. They were the peak existences in the universal realm. They had experienced the storms of ancient times and had seen the Dragon Clan back then. They had seen Long Baitian's superpower. However, now, they felt that the power that Long Fei displayed far exceeded that of the past Long Batian. Strong. Not just strong. If I don't kill you like that on Long Fei, then this daddy will never let you go. No matter how many people attacked Long Fei, he would only catch one and fight them to the death, never letting go. As for the attacks on him, it was as if he couldn't feel any pain at all. Long Fei was a madman. A madman that was even crazier than Long Batian all those years ago. He's not human at all. He's even crazier than Long Batian. He's a lunatic. No way. I don't want to wait here for death. I can't bear to get out of that damned seal. I don't want to die here. God's tribe is nothing. I don't want to risk my life for them. You're right. Return to the ancient world. Back then, even Long Batian could not do anything to us, but this brat. One by one, they began to retreat. Watching the elders of the gods' tribe rush to the hall of Emperor Xian, the remaining ancient strong also swiftly flew to the hall of Emperor Xian. The hall of Emperor Xian was also the place where the two of them were connected. There was a passage to the ancient world. Carry him away. Next. When Long Fei raised his eyes, he discovered that all of the Powerhouse S were fleeing towards the hall of Emperor Xian S. Looking at the hall of Emperor Xian S in the distance, the anger in his heart roiled once again. I said before, everyone here has to die. He wanted to use all the people in the shrine to accompany the 13th dragon ancestor in death. He wanted everyone in God's tribe to pay the price. His fist moved, pulling out from an ancient strong's body. His fist was crimson red, and emitted the sound of evaporating water. He had to say it. This boxing glove was truly amazing. This was only a level 1 fist gloves. If it reached the top, Long Fei felt that its power could turn a plane into dust with a single punch. The gloves that destroyed the hegemony. The material used to create it was also extremely powerful, possessing the power to destroy planets. What kind of existence was exterminating a tyrant? The strongest boss among the mighty heavenly beasts, there was no other one. Long Fei looked at the glove, his fists sinking. The feather god wings on his back was about to fly towards Hall of Emperor Xian. Young Taoist caught up quickly, and said, "Senior brother, you have exhausted too much of your strength. If this goes on, your body would be at a disadvantage. They can't escape now, kill slowly, there's no rush." Long Fei was not overly exhausted. Right now, he was completely burning away at his HP. He didn't care about his life. Long Fei's killing intent had not faded, his anger had not diminished, and he said, "If the God's tribe is not destroyed, I will not stop. The two of you, guard the shrine's gate, don't let any of you off, understand?" Finished. Long Fei took a step forward and rushed towards the hall of Emperor Xian, roaring, "All of you will die, all of you must die." The Wild King descended down and said, "I'll say it, it's useless. The boss won't listen, his heart is currently filled with hostility, the God's tribe is his place to vent it. If he doesn't vent all of it, I'm afraid there will be problems with his body." Young Taoist said, "If we overdraw like this, senior brother will not be able to take it." How could the Wild King not know? "There are only two ways to make boss stop," young Taoist immediately asked. "What method?" The Raging King said, "One is to continue to exhaust himself, and kill everyone in the entire shrine. The evil aura in his body will disappear, and under the pressure of a superpower house, he will be directly beaten back to his original form, allowing him to calm down and allow his consciousness to take control of his body once again. However, whole I have sensed all the shrines, but no one has been able to do such a thing, so." Just as the Wild King was speaking, suddenly, his forehead tightened. He turned around and immediately looked in another direction. Not the hall of Emperor Xian. It was a spot outside the shrine's gates, in the sky. The Wild King said solemnly, "What a powerful strength, this power." Young Taoist's expression became serious, he could also feel the strong power. This power came from the 9 heavens. The 9 heavens were shattered as a single person stood beneath a gigantic saber gate. Guillotine. No one else could see, but he could actually see it very clearly, because this huge blade was floating above his head. No matter how he moved, he could not dodge it. Guillotine, the place where everything was destroyed. Back then, I thought that I would be able to step into the shrine after breaking through the 9th heaven. So this is where the truly powerful ones are. Long Fei's clone did not dare to be careless. The war god stage was not only suspended above his head, but also in his mind. It was as if Long Fei dared to rush forward, the guillotine's huge blade would fall. Even the gods had to die. Huff. He let out a light breath and didn't rush in. Instead, he sat down cross-legged with an incomparable calmness. His personality was completely different from real-face Long Fei. After so many years of cultivation without any worldly matters, he was able to cultivate till he became someone with a completely different personality from Long Fei. No matter what, his heart was abnormally calm. Guillotine slashes the heavens. Everything can be cut down. This guillotine. It should be something that the Emperor Xian brought back from the ancient world. Furthermore, the people of Ming clan that were captured should have all been killed by this guillotine, which also made it stronger. To break through this guillotine. Half a moment. Long Fei raised his eyes and released a purple light. Buzz. His body blurred as a violet fog coiled around him. Boom. With an explosion, the purple mist scattered and Long Fei stood up. He was dressed in a super divine purple robe. Purple light flashed, exceptionally dazzling. Purple light flashed, exceptionally dazzling. The amethyst dragon plate crown had 2 purple feathers that fluttered in the wind. Below the crown was the amethyst coiling dragon helmet. Immortal Emperor armor. There was a purple heart protection mirror on his abdomen, and a purple pill furnace was engraved on top of the heart protection mirror. In the furnace world, every part of the divine armor was lightly flowing with purple flames, as though every scale was alive and moving. Amethyst coiling dragon arm twin dragons coiled around the dragon's head. His purple godly outfit sparkled, making him look like a super big boss. The clothes alone were enough to scare people. What he was holding in his hand was even more frightening. A long, thin saber. It was incomparably long, a total of 39 meters long. It was completely purple, transparent, with a dragon tail in its hand. The dragon's body was perfectly straight, like a wild dragon that had just rushed out of a sea of anger. This saber was also known as Wild Dragon Goes to Sea. From stepping into the 9th heaven to now, Long Fei's clone had always been absorbing the energy within the 9th heaven, using a special cultivation method to absorb all the energy in the 9th heaven. But now, he was going to use all of his war god equipment to fight. The guillotine slashed at the heavens. Everything would be destroyed. It was an unparalleled holy artifact in itself. Emperor Xian used it to suppress the 9 heavens and also used it to set up a taboo power. Anyone who broke through to the 9 heavens would not be able to escape death. Emperor Xian never thought that someone would still be alive after breaking through to the 9th heaven. Therefore, guillotine not only had the power to slay gods, they also had the forbidden power that was poured into the Emperor Xian. How strong was it? It was impossible to put into words. You want to go head-to-head with him? Even the ancient world S would not do such a thing. Long Fei called out his battle godly attire and held onto the 39-meter-long blade. He stared at the guillotine and muttered, "I failed to break through to the 9th heaven that year. At that time, I swore that I would destroy this 9 heavens. The 9th heaven is gone, and your guillotine is also dead." As soon as he finished, rumble, rumble, rumble. The space around Long Fei ruptured, and with a loud bang, streams of purple energy were released from his body, and the 39-meter-long blade instantly combusted. Zhong Xian's eyes twitched. Long Fei flew out. Also in the instant that he moved, the guillotine sensed it and let out a furious roar. "You juniors actually dare to charge into my god-slaying stage? You overestimate your capabilities and watch how I shatter your primordial spirit." Boom. A blade from the guillotine fell. Just like the knife's loose on the guillotine, it was just that the sword that fell from the guillotine was extremely huge, and had the power to slay gods. It fell down heavily. At the same time, in Long Fei's mind, a huge blade also fell. This was where the guillotine were the strongest. It doesn't matter if it's your physical body, your mind, or your sea of consciousness. If you were to be killed by the guillotine anywhere, you would also die. Moreover, if one place was destroyed, then the other 2 places definitely wouldn't be able to block it. Huff. The heart of idea, and the soul of the sea of consciousness. Open. Long Fei heaved a deep sigh, and his mind moved. A person who looked exactly like him was floating above his mind, staring at the sky. Similarly, the same was true for the sea of consciousness. Long Fei held onto the 39-meter-long dragon blade, staring at it in the air. He flew out. Gripping the knife with both hands, he leaned back. Hualala. Hualala. The sky split open, and the sound of cracks constantly rang out. What a strong power. Young Taoist also said, "This power is a little different from this world. Is it an enemy of the senior brother?" Quang Wang shook his head and said, "I'm not sure. You follow boss to the hall of Emperor Xian, I'll guard here. The Hall of Emperor Xian had to have someone. The power of eternity on Long Fei's body was extremely unstable. If the profound qi in his body could not support it, the power of eternity would disappear. Once his power disappeared, Long Fei would be a trash. Body of Taoti might not be able to stop it. The young Taoist did not beat around the bush and said, "Kuang Wang, be careful yourself." Kuang Wang smiled innocently and said, "Don't worry, I've been waiting my whole life for a life-and-death battle. If he's the opponent I have to wait for, I'll thank the heavens for that." Ha ha ha. The Wild King was a madman. The young Taoist didn't say much. He cultivated the immortal path, to cultivate longevity for his beloved, and he also knew what the Wild King cultivated. This was madness. He could not show even a trace of fear. Even if he knew he was going to die, he would still attack. His path was harder than the path of the young Taoist. Outside the Hall of Emperor Xian, Long Fei's body suddenly sank and stopped. The moment he landed on the ground, his body staggered and he almost fell down. That feeling came again. He felt that his mind and his sea of consciousness were both under great threat. It was as if his mind would be severed in the next breath and his sea of consciousness would be destroyed. This feeling. It was very hard. It's here again, it's here again. What exactly is it? Long Fei's mind was in pain, and his body felt heavy. He didn't know why he had become like this in this period of time. But he knew that he just needed to kill the Emperor Xian. To cut down everything in Emperor Xian. The Emperor Xian's seal would disappear, and the shackles in his body would disappear as well. At that time, all of his memories would return, and he would definitely know about the past. Ah! Long Fei roared in rage, as he pushed out the other image from his mind. His mind sank, and he stepped heavily onto the steps of the Hall of Emperor Xian. He took a step forward. The staircase shattered. Long Fei was like a death god. "All of you must die." Inside Hall of Emperor Xian, all the elders of the descendant of gods tribe kneeled in front of the Emperor Xian, kowtowing crazily as they begged. However, those ancient strongs did not care so much. The moment the idea moved, they immediately rushed into the channel, into the outer world, and returned to the ancient world. Hall of Emperor Xian was packed with people. "Lord Emperor Xian, come back quickly. Master, God's tribe can't take it anymore." "Emperor Xian. Master." All of them were kneeling. A few elders blocked Ancient Strong's path, and said, "My lords, if you leave, God's tribe really won't be able to hold on. You promised Emperor Xian that you would protect this place well. I beg everyone, please stay. When Emperor Xian returns, that little bastard will definitely be grinded into pieces. I beg all of you, please don't leave." Although the Ancient Strong was not Long Fei's match, at least Long Fei would waste some time on them. If it was Presbyter of God's tribe, it would have been a second. Ancient Strong asked, "What's wrong? Treat us like cannon fodder? Your God's tribe is nothing, you didn't even have one when we were still here. So what if you're a Emperor Xian? Is the Emperor Xian that great? This is your God's tribe's own affair, don't drag us into it. You pieces of trash from the God's tribe are completely useless." At this moment, the wind blew and the statue of the Emperor Xian moved. The gigantic Emperor Xian statue suddenly moved. The gigantic Emperor Xian statue suddenly moved. In an instant, the entire Hall of Emperor Xian was filled with a special kind of power. Many descendant of gods, tribes and elders kneeled on the ground without any hesitation. Those ancient strong were only slightly shocked and did not think much of it. They were the powerhouses who had come from the ancient world. They were not gods' tribes, and were not under their control either. Furthermore, even if they were in front of Emperor Xian, they did not need to respect them. Because they were from ancient strong, and were superior to others. Thus, when they saw the change in the Emperor Xian's statue, they sneered, pretentious. "I'm just fooling around with my clansmen. What Emperor Xian? What God's tribe? Do you really think you can cover the sky with one hand? What a joke." A few ancient strongs started to mock him. With a wave of his sleeve, he gave a heavy sound and said, "Scram to the side, I am not a slave of your God's tribe, We do not have any obligation to protect you. Scram. He kicked a presbyter of God's tribe who was blocking the way, sending him flying. Following that, he took large strides towards the statue of the Emperor Xian, and the passage to the ancient world was right behind the statue of the Emperor Xian. Walking to the side of the sculpture, the ancient strong revealed a look of despise. In that instant, crack, a surge of power directly grabbed his throat and lifted him up in the air. He could not resist it at all, and his strength was completely suppressed. Cough, 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 cough. His forelimbs struggled, and his face immediately turned pale. Buzz. The statue of the Emperor Xian was shrouded in an illusory image, revealing the face of the Emperor Xian. His gaze moved slightly as he stared at the ancient strong and asked, "Who the hell do you think you are? And I thought it was your era?" Huh! He let out a loud roar. The voice of the Emperor Xian became even more gloomy, and he said, "The current world is under my control, understand?" The pressure was like a raging ocean. The ancient strong was scared to the point that he peed, fluid continuously flowing out of his crotch area. Unable to even make a sound, he could only nod his head. The other ancient strongs could not withstand this pressure either. Their bodies sank and their legs trembled non-stop, as if there were hundreds of thousands of mountains on their shoulders. Plop. He knelt down heavily. Plop, plop, plop. All of the ancient strongs kneeled on the ground. They didn't even dare to raise their heads as their minds trembled uncontrollably, as if they were about to die at any moment. It was much stronger than the pressure Long Fei gave them. They always thought they were strong. Very, very strong. He was an unparalleled existence in the universal realm, but Long Fei had completely defeated them, and now, it was the same for the Emperor Xian. What was wrong with this world? Were all the people from ancient world crushed? Crack. With a burst of power, the ancient strong who was lifted up immediately had his neck crushed, his head rolling down. Emperor Xian coldly snorted, and said, "It's too late to understand." His voice sounded like a god of death. The ancient strongs who were kneeling on the ground trembled. Emperor Xian shot them a cold glance, not in the mood to care about them, but instead asked, "What happened? Who dares to make a move on God's tribe?" There is simply no such person in the universal realm. This shadow was the clone of the Emperor Xian. What he was saying now was also what the Emperor Xian had said himself. All along the way, he did not understand who dared to go against the God's tribe. Even if there was, no one in the universal realm could kill the God's tribe, and even more so, no one could break through the formation of the God's tribe. The power of the ancient inheritance was now dead. He didn't understand. An elder raised his head and said, "Master, yes, it's that brat from Long family. It's him." In that instant, Emperor Xian's brows tightened as his fury surged. He's actually still alive. Actually. In his eyes, Long Fei was just like a little bug, constantly jumping up and down. He had never taken it seriously, and this had always been the case for him since the moment Long Fei charged into the ninth heaven. And then again. To think that he was still alive. One of the ancient strong spoke out brazenly, "My lord, lord everyone, he could be the reincarnation of Long Batian." Long Batian? The space between Emperor Xian's eyebrows tightened even more. Others might not know, but he was very clear about what kind of existence Long Batian was. The #1 powerhouse of all those years ago. The Dragon Clan was also the #1 clan in the ancient world back then. Moreover, it was rumored that Long Batian did not even belong to this world, because he had existed since the birth of the ancient world and no one knew where he came from. His strength could not be described with words. If not for him being too savage, looking down on everyone, and being so arrogant and lawless, the entire plane of ancient world had become extremely chaotic, which led to the invasion of the outer space powerhouse. He led his people in a desperate resistance. Although he had stopped those Wota space demons in the end, he still received a punishment. The appearance of the outer space repression of boundary stones immediately suppressed him. As for why, no one knew where the repression of boundary stones came from. Even no one knew where Long Batian's body was being suppressed by the repression of boundary stones. This was also what Emperor Xian was looking for during this period of time. It was also during this time that they received news that Long Baishan's body was suppressing the Ashura's abyss. It was just that. Whether it was real or fake, for the time being, no one knew. When Emperor Xian heard the name Long Batian, his heart secretly shivered. Could it be? The marriage between Long family and Mu clan had a surge of power within the body of a newborn baby. Did they know at that time that this baby was Long Baishan's reincarnation? If it's really Long Baishan's reincarnation. Emperor Xian squinted his eyes. Although it was only the face of the shadow, his sinister expression made people shudder. So what if Long Batian has reincarnated? No matter who he is, he'll kneel in the world I control. The Emperor Xian's voice fell. It was also at this time. Long Fei stood at the entrance of the hall of Emperor Xian and looked at the people kneeling in front of a statue. His voice was like thunder, echoing within the hall of Emperor Xian for a long time. At this moment, hall of Emperor Xian was incomparably quiet, so a pin drop could even be heard. There was a pause of half a minute. Woo ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Laughter. The shadow of the Emperor Xian slowly floated up and stood in the middle of the hall of Emperor Xian. Staring at Long Fei, he said, "You are that little bastard who doesn't know his place, right? Bastard, your ancestors." Boom. Long Fei's eyes opened wide. Without saying a word, he immediately rushed forward, wanting to directly beat Emperor Xian to the ground and ruthlessly rub on him. Thus, his strength exploded. Boom. He rushed straight towards the Emperor Xian. The shadow of the Emperor Xian sneered sinisterly, "You overestimate yourself. If you don't want to, then do it. If you don't want to, then do it." So when they met, Long Fei pounced on them like a madman. No matter how strong he is. He didn't care if he was an opponent or not, he would do it with just one word. It was just that. The Emperor Xian laughed sinisterly as he looked at Long Fei rushing over. Ignorant junior. A surge of power surged through his body. Buzz. At this moment, Long Fei's body suddenly sank. Bang, 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 bang. A series of popping sounds came from his chest. One after another, the runes of the gods' tribes shone with a blinding light. One after another, the rune-like items exploded on Long Fei's chest like bombs. His chest felt as if it had been ripped apart. Long Fei's attacks simply could not continue. He had only taken half a step before he stopped. Ah! Long Fei could not help but let out a painful cry as the clothes on his chest were completely burnt away and he was half naked. The runes on his chest were like billions of bugs that were tearing at his flesh. "A lame duck like you dares to challenge my dignity? So what if you are Long Baishan's reincarnation? That was back then. Now is the time. I have the final say in this world, do you understand?" The illusory image of the Emperor Xian let out a loud sound. Control the power of the seal runes on Long Fei's body. The power suddenly dropped. The Emperor Xian shouted, "Kneel." Boom. The power of the curse rune increased even more. It was not the power of the rune on the surface that was crushing Long Fei's body. Every rune weighed millions of kilograms on Long Fei's body. The curse symbols on his chest were completely released. There were over 1,000 of them. Just how heavy was this? If it was just the weight alone, Long Fei's body of Tauti could carry it. However, every rune was not only on his body, but also in his mind. His sea of consciousness exploded and crazily crushed him. "Kneel before your ancestor." Long Fei's eyes were bloodshot and his body was trembling non-stop. Even so, his knees were not going to kneel down. However, the Emperor Xian was very unhappy and said, "Kneel." Boom. Another explosive sound rang out, and the power of the rune once again increased explosively. Long Fei's body was covered in rolling beads of sweat, his hair was all drenched, and beads of sweat were dripping down from the tips of his hair. Unwell. It was extremely uncomfortable. Ah! Long Fei's fists sunk, the infinite boxing that had cooled down turned red, his eyes staring straight at the high and mighty Emperor Xian as he roared. In the blink of an eye. Catcher, catcher. Blood scales appeared on Long Fei's body one after another, and they quickly grew out. It was tinged with blood. Moreover, the scales of the Daotai beast were immediately blood red. It directly covered Long Fei's entire body. At the same time, he also blocked the curse runes from coming out of his chest. Fierce. Terrifying. Long Fei had completely transformed into a man-eating Dao Tai. Her. Beast transmogrification? Not a dragon. This. Emperor Xian's eyes were full of contempt, and said, "Seems like you yourself are looking down on your own identity. You don't even want to be the strongest creature on the surface, yet you are actually a foreign magical beast. Is it you or Long Beishan's reincarnation? Abbreviation, it's a joke." Seeing Long Fei transform into a beast, the Emperor Xian felt disdain. "However, your alien magical beast's body. It seems like you have been to other realms before. No wonder the entire western regions was swallowed up by the black hole and you didn't die. You are indeed outstanding," Emperor Xian said lightly. At the same time, Long Fei transformed into a Dao Tai under the pressure of the powerful runes, and immediately used his strong physical body to withstand the crushing attacks of the runes. It was the same in his body. The mini black holes began to spin crazily. He used his mind and the power of the runes in his subconscious to crazily absorb. Rumble. He took a step forward. Rumble. As his step landed, an explosion occurred and the entire hall of Emperor Xian began to rumble. Many presbyter of God's tribe were slightly surprised. There are so many Emperor Xian curse runes on your body and you can still move them? Moreover, with a single step, he caused the ground within 10 kilometers to split apart. This power. The shadow of the Emperor Xian sneered and said, "You think becoming a foreign beast is that awesome? Kid. You have no idea what's going on. Where is this place? This is the universal realm, this is the world I control. I am the god here, the paragon here. All powers are within my control, including the power of law." As soon as he finished, Emperor Xian illusory gently flipped his right hand. It seemed very ordinary, but he pressed down with his palm. Those presbyter of God's tribes and disciples could not feel any power at all. It was as if the Emperor Xian was waving his hand lightly. However, the ancient strong-s complexions immediately paled. This power. Law. No, it's not just the power of laws. It's also a controller of laws. Could it be that we have been trapped in the seal for too long? How could he? Could it be the controller of the laws? Even the #1 powerhouse in the past, Long Batian, was unable to do it. Just who is he? Every single one of the ancient strong-s were shocked. Because the power of law is the power of law. As long as a certain type of power was cultivated to an extremely strong realm, it could indeed release the power of the law, but this was a completely different concept from a law controller. Obviously, the Emperor Xian is a controller of the laws. With a flip of his hand, he released a superb law power that no one else could feel. Rumble. 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 His power surged, crushing downwards. Others might not be able to see it, but for Long Fei, it was as if the entire sky had suddenly crashed down on him. Emperor Xian sneered, and said, "Obediently kneel down. Kneel before your 18 generations of ancestors." Long Fei did not dodge either. Facing the crushing suppression of the ancient code, he did not dodge but confronted it head-on. "Bring it on. The stronger the power, the better. I'm really afraid that you're not strong enough." Long Fei was like a madman. Body of Tauti. Red blood beast scales. His defense could be said to have reached his strongest Dao Tai body by far. At the same time, the mini black holes inside his pubes had already glowed with a golden light, but the anger value had not been filled up yet, so it needed to absorb even more power. Plus, power of eternity on Long Fei's right arm. Following Long Fei's fury, the power of eternity was also crazily exploding. It could be said that this was his current greatest strength. Emperor Xian's gaze darkened slightly as he pressed down heavily with his right hand. "Kneel." The origin laws roars and crush from the sky. Rumble. It heavily pressed down on top of Long Fei's head. In an instant, Long Fei's body immediately bent, as boundless strength crazily crushed down on him. Long Fei's hands moved, supporting himself with incomparable difficulty. At the same time, he was roaring. "Ah! The mini black hole's power was quickly filled up. Boom. Golden light scattered in all directions as the flaming anger value instantly ignited. Long Fei's power directly exploded and grew crazily. Tao Tie's fury. It exploded. The strongest state. The strongest state. The most powerful force. At this moment, rank was no longer important to Long Fei. His strength had already surpassed the limits of his realm. The body of Tao Tie's most powerful explosion, his furies burning, allowed his strength to skyrocket by tons, and was matched with the infinite boxing that had exterminated a tyrant. At this moment, Long Fei felt that he could exterminate the heavens. Rumble. With the burst of anger value, the aura around his body seemed to explode and expanded. The infinite boxing was scarlet red as he gripped it tightly. Catcher, catcher. A punch flew out. It directly rumbled in the sky above that strand of origin law energy. Hualala. The moment the fist came into contact with the sky law, the sky shattered. It wasn't like when the fist split apart piece by piece, but when it exploded and was crushed into pieces, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Oh my God. Is we too weak? He directly crushed the sky above the law? Isn't this too unbelievable? That brat. That kid. That's impossible. The Emperor Xian is the controller of the laws, he is the ruler of the universal realm, there is no one who can surpass him. It's not impossible, the power on this kid's body must be from another realm. To be able to turn the sky above the realm of laws into the void, his power from another realm might even surpass the laws of the universal realm. That's not right. Didn't you see that the boy's power was too strong just now? Emperor Xian is only an illusion, only a clone. At this moment, these ancient strong were not amazed at Long Fei, but at him. Because the Hall of Emperor Xian was only a clone of the Emperor Xian. An illusory image. How many clones could a powerhouse like the Emperor Xian condense? Countless paths. Just like the Sun Wukong, each strand of hair could make a clone. If any one of his clones could become a paragon of laws, then how powerful was his real face? It was hard to imagine. These ancient strong were trembling incessantly. They finally understood that the flow of time, the stellar transposition, was no longer their original world. They, already out of date, the sky above them shattered. The center of Emperor Xian's brows tightened, and the cold killing intent in his eyes intensified. At this moment, Long Fei's fist moved as it explosively rushed out. He took a heavy step into the Hall of Emperor Xian, flying high up in the sky, his fist thrown back and tightly clenched as the energy on the infinite boxing combusted into flames. The one kneeling is you. Long Fei shouted. The fist instantly descended, facing the illusory image of the Emperor Xian. Even if he was an illusory shadow facing the strongest Long Fei, it would still be able to kill him. Emperor Xian squinted, and said solemnly, "You're courting death." One word. The right hand of the Emperor Xian illusory image flipped over. Rumble. With just a casual movement, another extremely powerful law energy attacked. Boom. The punch shattered. Just like with the law of heaven, his fist shattered the void and shattered the space. Rumble. Yet another extremely strong defense law. Boom. Broken. Rumble. Boom. The Emperor Xian continued to release the power of the ancient code while Long Fei continued to unleash his slay. It's useless. Emperor Xian, die. The explosive power of Long Fei's infinite boxing was just too powerful. A layer of laws was shattered with a single punch. Ah! Another roar came out. Long Fei's fist had shattered everything. It was finally going to hit Emperor Xian again. Emperor Xian still did not move. His gaze became even more sinister. Long Fei's strength had exceeded his expectations. Ancient world. Emperor Xian looked vicious. He was extremely displeased. I never thought that the brat from the Long family would grow to such a terrifying extent. No wonder even though Long Zhanting's body was penetrated by the dragon-locked chain and was tormented by the dragon chain, he still didn't tell me where that brat's location. Escaping to another world to cultivate, Emperor Xian frowned. The muscles in the corner of his eyes were twitching. Beside him, a middle-aged man with white hair said, "So what if you are cultivating in the outer realm? No matter how strong one's cultivation is, he's still just a piece of trash. Dragon clan? Heh heh. No matter how strong you are, you have to kneel on the ground." Another middle-aged man said, "Emperor Xian, didn't we give you 2 treasures to bring back? Don't waste my time, just use my magic treasure." "Exactly. Why waste time with this sort of trash?" "Master didn't give us much time." Emperor Xian nodded his head and said, "I know, I will not waste any time, I just want to know what level that brat has reached. Now that I know, so he can go die now." A cold glint flashed across Emperor Xian's eyes. Long Fei's growth had exceeded his expectations. However, no matter how fast he grew, how strong he became, it was all the same to him. The result was, both died. The Emperor Xian idea moved, issuing an order to his clone in the Hall of Emperor Xian. Immediately, Hall of Emperor Xian. Emperor Xian's eyes slightly widened, and something that looked like a seal suddenly floated above his left hand. At this moment, the eyes of the young Taoist, who had been looking at him from outside the door, tightened. Golden runes rushed out of his body like a tornado. Immortal Taoist scriptures. Defend. One after another of golden runes flew towards Long Fei. Young Taoist also shouted loudly, "Senior brother, dangerous." But Long Fei didn't care about all that. Even if it was dangerous, he still had to force his way down. Zhentian Divine Seal. The shadow of the Emperor Xian bellowed. When the Divine Seal was released, the entire hall of Emperor Xian sank down. A heaven-shaking power crazily came crashing down from the Divine Seal. Long Fei's fist was just a few centimeters away from Emperor Xian's fist and it was about to break apart. When the Divine Seal was released, his body felt as if it suddenly felt hundreds of thousands of times gravity, sinking down as if he fell into an abyss. Bam! It fell down. He fell heavily to the ground, half of his body firmly stuck to the ground. All the strength in his body was suppressed. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The Emperor Xian laughed coldly. "You think you can kill me? You don't even have the right, do you understand? Trash." The Zhentian Divine Seal moved, and heavily fell from the sky. If this Divine Seal was pressed on his body, I'm afraid Long Fei's body would be crushed into fine powder. Buzz. 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 One golden symbol after another surrounded Long Fei. It formed a defensive wall of immortal Taoist scriptures. Young Taoist also instantly descended and helped Long Fei up from the ground. Phut! Long Fei spat out a mouthful of black blood, and his body looked like it was about to fall apart. His anger value were all suppressed. He looked like a cripple. The most terrifying thing was the suppression earlier. His strength was instantly crushed and his strength vanished. It was impossible for his body to withstand it just by relying on his Taotie's fleshly body. Thus, his HP crazily fell. At this moment, his health point was only left with 1 point. The domination of the Zhentian Divine Seal. The domination of the Zhentian Divine Seal. The strength of layer after layer of Long Fei's body was crushed. Having lost the protection of his strength, his health point was completely unable to endure it, and his blood value fell to the bottom. 1 point. He only had a little bit of HP left. What did a bit of HP mean? This meant that he was already at the gates of hell. If he lost even a little more blood, he would die. This meant that he was seriously injured. This way, his body would no longer be able to unleash his power, and could no longer clash head-on with the Emperor Xian. It meant Long Fei lost. Hoo. Long Fei's breathing became heavy, his 2 eyes looking at the high and mighty illusion of the Emperor Xian. He was displeased, very displeased. Why? Long Fei roared in his heart. However, his power was gone, his strength. The power of the ancient code that was released by the Emperor Xian was unable to contend against the Zhentian Divine Seal. Above his head, the Divine Seal trembled. Boom. Boom. Young Taoist's brows tightened as he frantically chanted the Immortal Sutra, the golden runes forming a wall to block the power of the Divine Seal. But He was too tired to fight back. The Emperor Xian glanced at the golden runes on the defensive wall and said coldly, "Outer domain power? I didn't expect you to not only cultivate in the outer realm but also bring back the outer space powerhouse. He's really well prepared. You want to kill me? Ha ha ha." Emperor Xian laughed disdainfully. "What a pity, such a pity that you're too weak." He mocked crazily. Long Fei clenched his teeth. However, the young Taoist said, "Senior brother, don't be angry, your body is currently very weak. You can no longer withstand any of his attacks, even if it's just pressure, you can't withstand it." Young Taoist was very calm. If Long Fei lost his cool again, the consequences would be unimaginable. He would evacuate first and then think of a way out. However, the illusory Emperor Xian laughed disdainfully. "Do you think I would let you leave? Do you think you can make it?" Young Taoist stood up, stared at the Emperor Xian simulacrum, and said solemnly, "You can't leave? Then you can try, and see if your divine seal can hurt us at all." Buzz. The golden symbols released an even stronger defensive power, blocking the divine seal from the outside. The eyes of the shadow of the Emperor Xian turned sinister, his right hand flipped out heavily, open. The Zhentian divine seal floated up and then fell down heavily. Rumble. 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 Golden light scattered out, forming a huge halo that shot out. The immortal Taoist scriptures' defensive wall slowly sank down. However, there was no break at all. He had been able to block it all. Young Taoist said, "If I want to leave, who can stop me?" Young Taoist helped Long Fei up, and said, "Senior brother, leave first." The face of the Emperor Xian simulacrum turned unsightly. The Zhentian divine seal flipped again, and landed heavily. Rumble. Rumble. However, this time, the immortal Taoist scriptures did not even sink. Emperor Xian was angry. Just then, an ancient strong suddenly spoke out, "Master, we can do it on your behalf." While they were talking, the ancient strong quickly stood in front of young Taoist and blocked his way. The defensive walls of the immortal Taoist scriptures blocked the power of the divine seal and the Emperor Xian outside. In other words, the Emperor Xian phantoms were unable to attack them, but these people could still. The shadow of the Emperor Xian's eyes turned cold, and he laughed. "I said you guys can't leave, right? Kill them." The young Taoist's gaze turned sinister as he looked at the ancient strong in front of him and said, "You better scram." Ancient strong laughed blandly. "What if I don't?" Young Taoist said, "Then die." Ancient strong said, "Ha ha ha. With just you." At this moment, a descendant of God's tribe suddenly rushed towards Long Fei with a sneak attack. He bellowed, "What are you saying? Just kill him." This was a good opportunity to show off. As long as Long Fei was killed in front of the image of the Emperor Xian, he would definitely be recognized by the Emperor Xian. Boom. With a single step, his speed would be extremely fast. At least, Long Fei was currently unable to see his speed clearly. This was because his current cultivation was only at the soldier level 1. The center of young Taoist's brows tightened. All of his attention was focused on the defensive wall and this ancient strong in front of him. In a moment of desperation, young Taoist's body moved, blocking in front of Long Fei. The golden runes on his body exploded. Boom. Descendant of God's tribe chopped down heavily with one move. Boom. Descendant of God's tribe was forced to continuously retreat as blood wildly spurted out. Half of his body was crippled, and the groove of blood above his head had instantly bottomed out. Long Fei's eyes flashed with a trace of golden light. Opportunity. Ancient Strong's eyes flashed with a bright light. The defense on young Taoist's body loosened. Die. Rumble. Ancient Strong moved both his hands, a strong power whistled through the air, before young Taoist could react and attack him heavily. Once young Taoist died, Long Fei was like a fish on the chopping board. One slash was enough to take his life. Descendant of God's tribe's sneak attack caused him to lose his balance. Although his reaction was extremely fast, it was still a mess. The power of the ancient strong attacked. His power instantly blocked it. However, while he was defending against the ancient strong's attack, the illusory Emperor Xian laughed sinisterly. Ha ha ha. The Zhentian divine seal flipped. Divine light shrouded the area. A strong power began to surge. The immortal Taoist scripture's defensive wall was related to his mental energy. He was completely focused on the ancient strong, which meant that the current defensive wall was extremely weak. He wasn't sure if he could withstand the full pressure of the Zhentian divine seal. Ha ha ha. He's going to die. Little bastards, you two are the only two trash here dare to fight against Emperor Xian? Tremble. Ha ha ha. Many disciples and elders of the gods' tribe began to laugh. Because, in the next second, Long Fei and the other two would die. It was also at this time. An elder looked at Long Fei and asked, what does he want to do? What is he doing? He actually left the protection of the defensive wall? He must not want to live anymore. If a sneak attack was not important, the ancient strong's pincer attack was also not important. It didn't matter if the heaven-shaking divine seal's power increased again, because these young Taoists could still barely handle it. However, he had forgotten about Long Fei. Long Fei suddenly left his side at this time, which meant that Long Fei was trapped in a desperate situation. Young Taoist's eyes darkened and he anxiously shouted, "Senior brother." Long Fei acted as if he did not hear, and walked step by step to the side of the heavily injured descendant of God's tribe. He was very weak. However, the descendant of God's tribe was even weaker. Furthermore, the gash on his head only had a little bit of his HP remaining. "Senior brother, come back. Senior brother, come back. Senior brother." The young Taoist shouted. Long Fei did not turn back. Still walking forward. That descendant of God's tribe slightly shrunk, and said, "Little bastard, what are you planning to do?" "What for?" No one knew. Even the shadow of the Emperor Xian could not understand what Long Fei was doing. However, no one thought he could do anything. What could a trash with only the cultivation of a soldier? A seriously injured good-for-nothing, what could he do? There was nothing to be done. He can't be trying to kill someone, right? Heh. Ha ha ha. A level 1 soldier trash can actually kill people? It scared me so much. Ha ha ha. Look at his useless appearance. Does he think that he can kill people? Now I can crush him with one finger. Any hair on my head is fine. Ha ha ha. Everyone in God's tribe mocked and despised him. The current Long Fei was not the Long Fei who had just started out. The aura on his body was low, and he was one of the lowest class. There was nothing to be done. Become the target of the descendant of God's tribe's mockery. They did not even take action to kill Long Fei, because they wanted to see Long Fei make a fool of himself and ridicule them. "Senior brother, come back. Senior brother." Without waiting for young Taoist to shout again, the Zhentian divine seal fell down heavily. Young Taoist lowered his body and used all his strength to block the Zhentian divine seal. He simply could not reach Long Fei's side right now. He was burning with anxiety. Suddenly, Long Fei stopped. Everyone's gaze returned to him. The injured descendant of God's tribe laughed. "Trash, what are you stopping for? Do you miss your mother?" Ha ha ha. The little scum of the dragon race, is this how Long Batian reincarnated? What a joke. Kid, kneel on the ground and tremble. Ha ha ha. Everyone was still mocking him. Just then, Long Fei suddenly grabbed a chair. What's the point of grabbing a chair? Sit down. No one could understand it. Actually, he really didn't want to grab a chair. He wanted to summon a dragon sword, but no, he did not even have the strength to bring up dragon sword. The same goes for sky sword. Right now, not only was he seriously injured with only a little bit of HP remaining, his mana was also depleted. No skills. No physical strength. There wasn't any mana. Just like the mags in the game. He dragged the chair in front of the injured descendant of God's tribe. That disciple said, "Lame duck, you." Not waiting for him to finish. All of a sudden, Long Fei's eyes stared intently. He grabbed the chair and smashed it onto the man's head. Bang. Hualala. The disciple's eyes tensed up. He did not know that Long Fei would suddenly attack, but even if Long Fei attacked suddenly, it would be useless. Because This kind of attack, this kind of damage was impossible. Miss. A red MIS rose above his head. Descendant of God's tribe sneered, and said, "This kind of strength isn't even enough to tickle me, yet you want to kill me? You dog, you can. Hualala." Another heavy smash. Miss. Still no damage. Because Long Fei's level was too low. A fighter rank 1 strength really couldn't even scratch an itch. However, Long Fei did not stop. One chair after another was smashed down, without even saying a word. They were all using all of their strength, not holding back at all. Bang, bang, bang. Hualala, hualala. Consecutive attacks. However, it's always been the MIS damage. This made even more Descendant of God's tribe laugh loudly. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. This is the fiercest attack I've ever seen. Trash of the soldier level. You really want to kill someone? Brat, can you be a little more forceful? What do you count as now? You're really scaring us to death. Ha ha ha. Long Fei was just like a comical performer, causing everyone to burst out in laughter. The smashed Descendant of God's tribe also had a face full of satisfaction, and said, "Trash, use more strength, only your strength is too weak. Ha ha ha. Kill me. Quickly kill me. Ha ha ha." Continuously attacking, this sort of power was completely useless against him. He had been afraid at first, but now he didn't have to. Because Long Fei's strength had not reached the level of injuring him at all. Even if he was currently heavily injured, and his defense was weak, he still wasn't injured. But Long Fei's level was too low. His damage was negligible because he wouldn't be able to injure it at all. Even so, Long Fei was still fighting with all his might. It could be said, he was going to risk it all even more. If this continued, he would kill the undying Descendant of God's tribe, and his little bit of HP would definitely be used up due to him overexerting himself. Even so, Long Fei still ignored them. It crazily smashed down. He roared in his heart, a bit. I only need a bit of critical damage. A bit is enough. After standing here for so many years with great difficulty, if I were to be beaten back to my original form, how long would I have to wait? How much time do I have left? How long can I last? Long Fei's memories were suppressed by the seal, and he couldn't remember how many times he had to face the Emperor Xian, but he didn't want to do it again. When young Taoist brought him away, he was extremely unwilling. However, he had no other choice. Seeing that the Descendant of God's tribe who had ambushed him was out of health, his eyes flashed with a light. He still had a big move that he had not used yet. His big move was leveling up. He had been waiting, suppressing himself all this while. Even when he had killed Outer Space Powerhouse, he did not manage to obtain a rank. Just for today. Because upgrade meant revival. Upgrade is full. Any one of them had a higher cultivation base than him. As long as he killed a person, he would be able to heal the wounds on his body if he killed them himself. If his injuries were healed, then he would be able to unleash the power of eternity, the body of Tauti, and the power of the infinite boxing, and he would be able to become the Emperor Xian again. If he couldn't even beat a shadow, then even if he could escape this time, how could he behave like this in the future? Ah! Long Fei roared. It roared like a madman. Facing these presbyter of God's tribes, and facing the ridicule from the disciples, he clenched his teeth until it cracked, tightly holding onto the chair with both of his hands and smashing it heavily. Critical hit. Give me a critical strike. The Descendant of God's tribe laughed. Trash, I am a powerhouse of the God's holy state. Who do you think you are? You can kill me. You can't even fight for 10,000 years. Ha ha ha. While he was laughing maniacally, after Long Fei struck down with such a heavy blow, his health was no longer able to endure. His chair crashed down. Hualala. This time, there were no English letters floating above the Descendant of God's tribe's head. Instead, a dazzling number appeared, 1. As long as it happened once, it was good that it happened once. As long as it happened once, it was good that it happened once. Long Fei's cultivation was too low. Unless he unleashed a critical strike, It would not be able to cause any harm to descendant of God's tribe. As long as it was a critical hit, there would definitely be damage. It was impossible for the system to set the critical hit to miss. As long as it was a critical hit, the system would agree to the damage, so critical hit was especially important. A critical strike appeared. The damage floated up from the top of the descendant of God's tribe's head, and at this moment, the descendant of God's tribe's eyes suddenly bulged. The last bit of HP was reduced to 0. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes. Dead. The surrounding people were stunned. They didn't know why Long Fei risked his life to kill this disciple who didn't have any importance in the God's tribe. So what if they killed him? He was just a character on the periphery. Nothing could change his mind. So what if we kill him? Pulling a cushion before death. I have 2 words for him. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. His brain must be full of shit. The people of God's tribe were still mocking him. Because they knew that Long Fei couldn't change anything. At the same time, a few descendant of God's tribes rushed to Long Fei's front and revealed cold smiles of contempt, and said, "Trash, do you think that it's so amazing that you've killed a God's holy state descendant of God's tribe? Warrior rank. Ha ha ha. This is the most useless person I've ever met. If it wasn't for you standing here, you wouldn't even be qualified to be killed by me." 3 descendant of God's tribes stood beside Long Fei. The spirit chi on his body moved, and was about to attack Long Fei. But at this moment, Long Fei did a silent action. He then closed his eyes and muttered, "Come, let's revive where we are." Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing descendant of God's tribe. Do you wish to absorb its cultivation? The system rang out with an incomparably wonderful prompt. This time, Long Fei did not consider any further. The idea moved. Yes. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully absorbing it. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Sky Saint level 1, boom. The aura in his body trembled, and his attributes changed. His strength had increased, his physical body had become stronger, and he was becoming stronger in all aspects. This was secondary, the most important thing was the health point. Revert to full state. Blue capacity returned to full state. The key point was his wounds. The injuries from being crushed by the Zhentian divine seal were all healed completely. There was no pain. He had been completely resurrected on the spot. To a veteran gamer, this was a bug existence. As long as it was upgraded, everything would be restored to its peak state. When paired with the killing system, as long as he could use it well, Long Fei would still be an immortal existence. His cultivation base. Why did it suddenly become a god's holy state? What is going on? Impossible, no one has ever cultivated so quickly. 1 second was warrior realm, and this second was God's holy state. That's impossible. The aura around Long Fei changed, and the surrounding people immediately felt it. It was all incredible. A disciple said with a heavy voice. So what if you have the God's holy state? They all have to die. Boom. With his explosive power, he suddenly rushed towards Long Fei. Rumble. The powerful pressure in the air let out a roar and then pressed down heavily. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up as he coldly laughed, and his right hand sank. Crack. The infinite boxing once again appeared in his hands. The infinite boxing did not consume any energy, but it needed Long Fei's physical support. When Long Fei was heavily injured, he was unable to use the infinite boxing at all. The control of the idea appeared in an instant. Body of Taoti. Boom. Catcher. After a series of sounds, Long Fei's entire body was covered by the blood-red scales of the Daotai. Buzz. Inside the pubes, the unique devouring power of the Daotai appeared and formed a mini black holes, which started to revolve. Boom. On his right arm, a unique energy began to burn. Furthermore, it was directly set ablaze. Power of eternity. Although it was hard to control, although he could not, but Long Fei was strong. Regardless of that, he had to release the power of eternity first. In practically an instant, Long Fei recovered back to the peak realm. Bam! Descendant of God's tribe's attack fell, and his palm smashed into the center of Long Fei's brows. Long Fei did not dodge. Let him attack. The palm of his hand touched upon the center of Long Fei's brows, his power dense. But Long Fei did not move. Not only that, Long Fei was not injured. That descendant of God's tribe seemed to have become impotent in a moment. The power in his body quickly shrank and drained away, he could not control it at all. Long Fei then sneered sinisterly. What did you say just now? Who's the trash? This voice. When descendant of God's tribe heard this, his heart twitched, and his face instantly became pale. Seeing the look in Long Fei's eyes, Long Fei, who looked like a god of death, returned. He was so frightened that he could not speak. Long Fei asked, "What is your cultivation level?" "Heavenly Saint level 2, descendant of God's tribe." Shook his head. Long Fei asked, "Even higher?" "Heavenly Saint level 8. The descendant of God's tribe nodded. Long Fei smiled faintly, and said, "Very good, you should thank yourself for your cultivation, and thank the Heavenly Saint level 8. If you were not as good as the God's holy state, then you are already dead." The Heavenly Saint level 8 was higher than Long Fei's current level. After absorbing the power, he had been crippled. Just a light move was enough to kill him, but Long Fei did not kill him, because, keep it for later. His body moved. Long Fei rushed forward with all his might. "Old man Emperor Xian, I'm here." Rumble. 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 He once again charged towards the Emperor Xian simulacrum like crazy. He did not know how Long Fei was able to suddenly recover such a great power, but he knew one thing. If this child is not eliminated today, then he will definitely become a threat in the future. Long Fei's potential was too strong. Every time he appeared, he would become many times stronger. This time, even when facing a martial saint-level divine treasure, he was still able to resist and once again madly rushed out. Die. The figure of the Emperor Xian let out a single word. The Zhentian divine seal flipped. Combined with a few other ancient code, it crushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei's fists sank as he roared like thunder. "Ah!" The infinite boxing exploded towards the Emperor Xian simulacrum. The crushing power of the laws shattered. At the same time, Long Fei's pubis had once again finished filling up, and his anger value had erupted. Boom. 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 The infinite boxing began to burn even more ferociously than before. Then, he poured it into the power of eternity. Long Fei roared, "Die." The scarlet, burning glove released a sound as it suppressed the Zhentian divine seal. This time, he wasn't instantly crushed. Instead, he rushed towards the Zhentian divine seal with incomparable ferocity, and struck it with his fist heavily. Rumble. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.